Ballparks from the Gaslamp to North County. No one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? Happy Wednesday to all of you out there. Following a Padres victory last night over the Los Angeles Angels as Fernando Tatis Jr. walked it off yesterday. It's a good time at the ballpark yesterday. Had a great time with some friends. Went as a patron instead of a media member yesterday. Frank was there as a media member. Did a great job getting a lot of post-game sound for us that we're going to talk about later on in the show. But went down to the ballpark. Yeah, I had football practice with Cathedral for spring ball. Then cruised over. I picked up my brother on the way down to the ballpark. Went down, had a drink at Bub's for my buddy's birthday. Went into the ballpark and had a great time. You know, I used my my parents' season tickets, which was great. They're in the 200 section. Utilized the in-seat delivery. That was phenomenal. Phenomenal. And then watched a pretty good game between the Padres and the Angels. Angels kept the Padres at bay for a long time there early on in the contest until about the fifth inning when the Padres finally put up a couple of runs. Padres bullpen again gave it up in the seventh. Gave up 3 runs in the top half of the seventh. And poor Dylan Cease, man. Dylan Cease, he gave up the first batter of the game, gave up a bomb. And then after that, really settled in nice. He had 10 strikeouts. Dylan Cease had a great outing yesterday, despite the home run that he gave up. He ends up giving up another run as Estrada came in and ended up getting a blown save, accredited to him. But Cease, 6 2/3, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. Did give up that 1 home run. Estrada wasn't his night. Matsui has been the only savior of the bullpen right now during this streak, as he went an inning, only allowed a hit. He's the only pitcher for the Padres in the bullpen that hasn't given up a run since May 6th. Everybody else has given up multiple runs, some even 3 in 2 games or less. And we'll talk about the bullpen in just a little bit. Adam ends up getting the win with the inning that he pitched. But the thing that, and we're going to talk a lot about Fernando today, especially early on, for what he did yesterday. But you look at the Padres in a sense of just yesterday's game. It plays into what I was talking about yesterday before the game. You knew that the bullpen was struggling. The bullpen has been struggling for the Padres. Since May 6th, it hasn't been very good. And whether or not they've been overworked, I think will be a question that we can answer, we can talk about, we can discuss. But when one asset of your game is not performing at a high level, and not everybody's going to be 100%, but when one asset of your game is not performing at a high level, you need the other portions of your game to step up and overcome those things. And somebody yesterday tweeted at me saying, you can't assume that. Well, if you're a good baseball team, you're going to be able to do that. That's what good baseball teams do. That's what good sports teams do in general. If you are like a football team, your offense isn't doing well, but your defense, your defense needs to pick it up a little bit and make up for maybe your struggles of your offense. Same thing if your defense isn't doing that well, your special team steps up. It's every aspect of sports. When one side is not getting the job done for whatever reason, the other parts of the game have to pick up the ones that are struggling. And good teams find ways to do that. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams don't. And bad teams find ways to lose. And last night, I think you saw that. The Angels are not a good baseball team. They're a bad baseball team. I called them embarrassing at the beginning of the year. I don't think they're embarrassing anymore. I think that is only for the Colorado Rockies. I think the Colorado Rockies are an embarrassing team. I think the Angels are just a bad team. They're not very good. And you're going to get everybody's best shot when you're the San Diego Padres and you're at the top of the standings. Everybody around here knows. Everybody in baseball knows about the star-studded lineup and guys like Jackson Merrill and guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. You're going to get everybody's best. So the team that you're playing in the Angels this week probably got a little bit extra juice than what you usually see out of the Angels. We've seen that with Padres teams in the past that weren't very good. They stepped up in bigger games where they played tight with some better teams. But that being said, the Angels aren't very good. And I think you saw that on display last night with them kicking the ball around. Adele got an error, Hoppy had an error, and a couple of those have led to runs for the San Diego Padres to help them get back into the game. And then in the what is that, the 8th inning where the Padres tied it? It was mostly walks. You had a walk in that inning to start the inning, if I'm not mistaken, as I pull up the box score and I can go through that 8th inning that the Padres had. Bottom of the 8th inning started with a Fernando Tatis Jr. walk. Arise popped up. Machado walked. Jackson Merrill struck out on 3 pitches. Not a great at-bat for him. Not worried about it. Guy's a ridiculous hitter. He's going to strike out sometimes. And then Gavin Sheets pops one up into no man's land in left center field. If that ball is caught, I mean, Padres probably lose last night and lose the series to the Angels. They were playing extra deep with Gavin Sheets, a no doubles defense. Ball gets neatly placed in between the shortstop, the center fielder, and the left fielder, and it scores a run to make it 4-3. Bogaerts works a walk. But before Bogaerts works a walk, ball gets kicked around behind the dish, and Manny Machado comes home to score, being aggressive. Jake Cronenworth walks. And then you have the bases loaded for Jason Hayward. Now, Jason Hayward, we got to talk about Jay Hay. We got to talk about Jay Hay. I don't know if I'm going to spend too much time on in the opening segment, but we got to talk about Jason Hayward later on in the game or in the show. I just don't know how many more times you can roll out Jason Hayward. I think he's a great guy. He's very, very nice in the clubhouse. The teammates like him, right? I mean, you have a little bit of a veteran leadership, and you can have some of those guys on the team, but like at the same time, you can't have your entire team be a bunch of vibes guys. So, I think you get a designate of like one of those players. And to me, like, I don't want to say Tyler Wade's like a vibes guy only because he's contributed a lot offensively for the Padres this year. Did a really good job stepping up. I think everybody has a role for the team, but I would be hard pressed to believe that Jason Hayward is on this team past Memorial Day. He just doesn't look like he's got it right now. And if he's going against, now here's the deal, if he's going against guys that are like at the top of their game in the pitching world, right? He's going against Hunter Green and he looks silly. Okay, everybody looks silly against Hunter Green, but this Angels pitching staff is not very good. We talked about it going into the series. Their starting pitching's been serviceable. Their bullpen's awful. And his at-bat last night with the bases loaded, he knows it too. But his at-bat last night with the bases loaded in the 8th inning with an opportunity to take the lead and potentially get your closer out there in the 9th to shut the game out in the top of the 9th, it was a rough at-bat. I mean, he looked lost at the plate. He looked like he could not catch up to the fastball. He looked like he couldn't handle any of the off-speed pitches. It wasn't very good. Jason Hayward has had a great career playing at the professional level, playing in MLB. But I don't know how many more times that you can continue to roll him out and hope that he can put up other results when he had a rough year last year and the year before that wasn't great for other teams. I think he brings some value to the Padres, but where the value is not at the plate. And it might just be time. So I don't know what the Padres are going to do. Maybe that's a move that they make a little bit later. But to me, with veteran guys that are aging, Father Time, undefeated, remains undefeated, with guys aging like Jason Hayward, that leadership and veteran presence can only go so far. You're now thinking about from a standpoint of what the benefits are with Hayward. Does the benefits of him being a veteran leader on the team or a veteran presence that young guys can learn from, is that enough? And is that more beneficial than like Oscar Gonzalez at the plate? I'm not saying Oscar Gonzalez would have been any different than the at bat that Jason Hayward put up, but I'd like my chances a little bit more right now with Oscar Gonzalez. But I just it's tough to see. It's tough to see. I mean, I don't think you're getting anything more out of Tirso Ornelas right now in that particular spot either. But Jason Hayward, he's got to have a better at bat than that. But everything that was coming from this kind of opening segment, and we're going to get to Fernando when we come back. I mean, Fernando's his own. We could spend an hour on Fernando. But the thing that kept the Padres in the game is that phrase that Jackson Merrill said earlier this year about we apply pressure. And I think Kevin Acee laid it out in his daily newsletter. Again, if you haven't signed up for it, you should. Wealth of information. But the amount of times other teams kick the ball around against the Padres and make, I don't say bonehead moves, but pressure moves that doesn't work out for them is less of a coincidence and luck and now more of Padres are making this happen. And what you saw last night, even though it was a hard-fought game between two teams in baseball, one probably not playing to the level that they expect to play at, the other one playing probably above that level, the Padres found a way to win because they're a good baseball team. The Angels found a way to lose because they're a bad baseball team. And so now the Padres going to have to go out there today and try to win a series. So despite losing the first game to the Halos, which is not great, giving it up the way they did, you win a series, you continue to win series up and down the year. I mean, you're on a 667 clip, which is going to win you more than 100 games. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Fernando Tatis Jr. People were worried about how he was feeling the other day. Didn't look like himself in the dugout. It's going to be, I mean, there's going to be times where these guys are not like super happy all the time. I mean, it's just life, right? I mean, there's going to be days that you have to show up to work to perform. It's just not your day. I think we assume that's the case. These guys are like robots. I mean, they're humans. We don't know what's going on in his life. We don't know what's going on with how he's handling certain situations. I'll tell you what, though. There's a lot of things that Fernando has done just this year that have shown his growth as a player and that have shown his growth as a Padre and that transition from him being the exciting young player to now being a veteran that the Padres can rely on. I think you saw it on display last night. And despite Jackson Merrill kind of being this new spark to the team, their best player is still by far Fernando Tatis Jr. He walked it off yesterday. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Fernando and what he brings to the team and those adjustments that he has made. What I've seen out of him in these kind of couple years to be the player that he is and why that is going to be a reason why the Padres are successful in October. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll get your phone calls. Braden Surprenant Show with Frank Marchese. Just getting started on a Wednesday. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. Braden Surprenant Show. Braden Surprenant, Frank Marchese here for you on a Wednesday. Talking Padres baseball. Big win last night. Every win's a big win. Padres now a half game, right? In the standings behind the Dodgers. How about the Detroit Tigers being the best team in baseball right now? It's a shame that the Padres had to play the Tigers when they weren't at full strength. I think the Padres could have handled the Detroit team, but I think Detroit's pretty good. That was the team at the beginning of the year that was going to be sneaky. Already off to a sneaky start. Look at the overall standings. Here's where, like, the whole applying pressure, we talk about it from a sense of, like, in game. What did we talk about earlier this year? I can't remember if I talked about it with Frank or not. But when you look at the Padres and that whole, like, we want to talk about, and there's a lot of fans that want to talk about the division. To me, I don't think you worry about the division until later in the year. You look at the standings, you're within 5 games, go ahead, go for it. Right now, you just got to focus on yourself. But the thing that led to that 1 year, I'm going to ask Frank, see if he knows. I'm going to put him on the spot. What was... Hold on. There's something you do, Frank, that I think is awesome. I think this is equivalent to, like, Chris Collinsworth kind of slide in. It's the mic slide that Frank does.
Because, again, the show is not about me. I'm not supposed to be the one ready at a moment's notice. The show is about you. I'm just here to add color.
The mic flip in. We need to make, after about 2 months, a montage of that's going to be great.
There you go.
We're going to throw that. What's that to meme where everybody's at that English pub and they start losing their mind? I think it was like a World Cup game or something.
Oh,
like
yes.
That.
Yeah.
We're going to have Frank
yeah.
do the mic roll in and everybody's going to go nuts for the Win Sox.
Got to accompany that slide, too.
Let me ask you this before we get to the phone calls. What was, and I'm looking for a specific answer, so if you get this, it's great. What do you think a main reason for why the Giants won the division a couple of years ago and outdid the Dodgers in the regular season? What do you think one of those reasons was? And it's not anything on the field. I'm just talking straight standings-wise.
They just kept within range. They kept within striking distance.
They kept it close the entire time. And when you keep it close in the standings, focused on yourself, focus on taking 2 out of 3, winning baseball games, and you keep it close, you put pressure on the team in front of you or the team that's trying to keep pace with you. You keep the pressure on. So when this team is keeping the pressure on the field and they're winning baseball games, they're continually applying pressure to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And they're doing it with the Giants, and they're doing it with the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are 1 game above 500, yet they're 5.5 games behind the Dodgers. They already knew they had to compete with the Dodgers. Everybody in the division knew they had to compete with the Dodgers. But what they didn't realize they had to do is compete with everybody else in the division. They got to try to keep pace. That's why it feels like every time the Padres drop a game, it's pandemonium in the YouTube chat. Trying to keep pace. The pressure, every single game. It's a pennant race pressure. It's a fun thing to be a part of. And I'll tell you right now, it's way more fun than if you look back at May 14th in 2013 of where the Padres were at in the standings. Not as bad as Colorado, who's already 20 games out of first place, but still keeping the pressure on. That is something that the Los Angeles Dodgers have done for the last decade. Couple of things that they have done for the last decade that the Padres are currently doing. One is consistently applying pressure, and where you feel like they're going to strike at any point in time offensively. And the other one is winning in different ways. You know, everybody's all worried about the Padres not hitting home runs. The Padres don't need to hit home runs to win games. The home runs are going to come. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. It's finding different ways to win. It's winning based on aggressive. It's winning on aggressive base running. It's winning on base hits. It's winning on working counts and drawing walks. It's winning on maybe your bullpen, shutting the thing down, your pitching staff not giving up any runs with all the shutouts they've had. Padres have found different ways to win and have been in a situation that's of being at the record that they are because of being multifaceted. We saw what this Padres team was in 2023, the live or die on a big hit that they had never seemed to get. What travels everywhere and what travels on the road and what wins in October is this style of play of the Padres. It's suffocating the other teams. It's a gritty, hard-nosed way of playing baseball that we've seen LA do for years. And now the Padres are starting to do it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Matt in Encinitas. Matt, you're in the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? First of all, Braden, just want to say, man, you're doing an awesome job with this midday slot. I've never wanted to listen to it more, and you know, just like the Padres have been on the rise the last 5 years and building a brand of baseball for themselves. So have you.
Thank you.
You pretty much took a lot of the words right out of my mouth of what I was going to say. It's a brand of baseball that the Padres have been working towards for the last 5 years, and there's been some ups and downs, and you know they've played good baseball, but now they have a specific Padres brand of baseball, and it mimics what the Dodgers do as well. I mean, the Dodgers, they play great defense, they pick each other up. One of the things you didn't mention that the Padres have been doing really well since last year is two-strike hitting as well. I don't know the exact stats, but I think they were top 3 in the league or so in terms of fewest strikeouts. I believe they had the highest batting average in the league last year. And, you know, beginning to middle of last year, we were kind of playing that game where we were scuffling right around 500, couple games above, couple games below. But towards the end of last year was where they really started to find their identity. And, man, it has just been so much fun and so refreshing to watch. And the only difference between us and the Dodgers that I see now is, you know, maybe they have a little bit of a higher level of talent, but everything that you're saying about us continuing to apply pressure, put the ball in play, make plays on defense, run the bases intelligently and aggressively, it's been awesome to watch. And honestly, I don't see any reason why the Padres can't keep this up for the next 5 to 7 years, especially with who I think is the straw that stirs the drink, Jackson Merrill. Stay healthy, confident in the right headspace. Sky's the limit for this team.
Matt, I appreciate the phone call, man, and thank you for the kind words. Yes, this is exactly what the Padres have been building. And I haven't talked a lot about it, and Matt kind of spurred this conversation a little bit when he called in. He's 100% correct. The problem is like you just hear LA and Dodgers and people freak out, right? Can't talk about LA. Can't talk about LA. And despite, like, you know, here's the deal with how we got to view, at least in my opinion, the whole LA Dodger situation. I think there's ways to view this. I think it's time for Padres fans and all of us to start to transition out of being little brother and start transitioning into being an equal. And that starts with not freaking out on just mentioning their name. There's a lot of things that they do up there in LA that, even though we don't want to admit it, they do very well. And one of them is the way that they play the game inside the game. Now, some of the antics of last year in the playoffs I thought was very disappointing in an organization that's usually held to a high standard. But there are pressure and grinding out at bats and making pitchers work and putting stress on them on the base pass, and all of that is a style of play that wins. And if you want to talk about pressure, look no further than what happens to that team in Los Angeles when they get to October and teams give them pressure. What happens? They fold. They fold. Throughout the entire year, they go out there and they dominate Major League Baseball because they have nothing to fear. And when you play baseball, just like a lot of sports, if you're comfortable, you're going to succeed. And that's why when you see some of these games and you see some of these games play out, the teams that play with pressure don't have a lot of success, and that's including the Padres. It is hard to play a game of failure with added pressure, knowing I have to get this done. There are players that can do it. I think, last night wasn't a great moment for Jackson. It's a one at bat, but like Jackson Merrill can handle the pressure more times than not. Not everybody can do that. And you look at a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, for the last 15 years, you would watch them dominate baseball and then get to the playoffs, and then they have to win. They have to go get a big hit. They have to contribute. They have to be able to do something. Otherwise, they go home, and the St. Louis Cardinals eat them for lunch. And the Washington Nationals knock them out of the playoffs. And the San Francisco Giants, who won 3 World Series over a 5-year span, didn't worry about the Los Angeles Dodgers. And even the Padres in 2022 knocked them off. The only exception was last season. That was the only time. And they went on a little bit of a heater. But aside from that, when you apply pressure on even the best teams ever assembled, which has been the Dodgers the last couple of years, they fold like a lawn chair. This style of play the Padres play, with putting pressure on, makes them very difficult to beat. And that is played by not only the star players that they have, and they got a decent amount, but also everybody else that's part of the team and the role players. That's why this style of play and that culture that the Padres have built over the last couple of years. Now, just because, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, the winning culture. You don't have to be winning championships to have a winning culture. They're building that. They're building the winning culture. It's taking some time because they didn't have any real identity before this latest ownership showed up. Mike Shildt talked, he was part of and this was in one of the articles by Kevin Acee earlier this week, about when Mike Shildt was brought in to help lead a leadership group for the Padres and what they wanted to build in this culture, and talking to players and getting the input from some of the guys that they have built in long term. They have been slowly building it, and you're finally starting to see the fruits of their labor. I think you saw it a little bit last year at the end of the season. I think you saw a little spurt of it in 2022. I think you're fully starting to see it now. And that's why I think you're in a spot now where the Padres can still develop some of these players in the minor leagues, teach them what it means to be a Padre, and they're going to fill right in when you need to have holes. When you need to have holes to fill. So you don't have to sign the Jason Haywards and some of these fringe players on the end of their career. You can replace them with some of the minor league guys. That's coming in the future. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Johnny, Neil, Dan, Marcus, we're going to get to you when we come back as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:39 on a Wednesday. Padres victory yesterday over the Los Angeles Angels. The Halos in town will continue their series today. Baseball coverage on 97 through the Fan presented by T-Mobile. At T-Mobile.com, get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Padres game tonight will be at 6:40, even though it's a Wednesday. Usually you get a getaway day on a day like today, but both teams have an off day tomorrow and aren't traveling very far. So don't have to have one of those particular day games. You can go out there with a night game, and that's what the Padres have elected to do. So a 6:40 start tonight. Tonight's a bucket hat night, correct? Nice. The reversible bucket hat. So expect a full crowd tonight at Petco Park. Padres try to win the series against the Halos before having an off day tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have our roundtable. And then coming up after that, the red-hot Seattle Mariners come to town for the first of 6 games for the Vetter Cup. They'll play 3 here in San Diego, and then they'll play 3 more up in Seattle later in the year. It's part of Rivalry Weekend. Rivalry Weekend. Throwing Frank on the spot here. Here it is.
You just want to see the mic swing. That's it.
What's your opinion on the Rivalry Weekend in baseball?
I mean, it works if it's a rivalry. Like, I get it if
they're
it's an
forcing it this weekend.
No, I get it. But, like, if Mets Yankees, I understand. Cubs White Sox, I understand.
Dodgers Angels?
Dodgers Angels, I understand. The San Diego, California Padres taking on the Seattle Washington Mariners in a rivalry game.
Hey, man. They share a complex in Peoria.
Good for them.
It's a rival.
Good for them.
It's our complex rival. They should have them switch. They should have like a nicer clubhouse for one of them. And so when you win the Vetter Cup, you get the nicer clubhouse. This weekend and rivalry weekend, we'll get back to the Padres in a second. This is the natural. They went all with all of them. I remember they did this a couple years ago. When I was a kid. That's not a couple years ago. It's like 10, 15 years ago. I remember seeing it like this. It was better when Texas and Houston were in different leagues. But they went with all the old interleague rivals, with the exception of Astros and Rangers. Used to be interleague rivals that aren't anymore. Instead of having the Rockies play like one of the Texas teams, Rockies got the Diamondbacks this weekend. So here's your interleague rival weekend, your rivalry weekend. White Sox, Cubs.
Natural.
Guardians, Reds.
Natural.
Is it because they share
interstate rivalry?
Is it because they share a complex or because they're in the same state?
Okay.
Spring training complex. Pirates, Phillies, same league.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, though.
Interstate rival.
Washington, Baltimore.
Interstate rival.
Mets, Yankees.
Interstate rival.
Tigers, Blue Jays. They're right there, dude. They're right next to each other.
Yeah,
they're
fair
right
enough.
next to each other.
Inter-border rival. I don't know.
They're right next to each other. Rays, Marlins.
Makes sense.
Cardinals, Royals.
Makes sense.
Astros, Rangers.
Makes sense.
Twins, Brewers.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Angels, Dodgers.
Makes sense.
A's, Giants.
Makes sense.
Rockies, Diamondbacks. Kind of forced, but
in
the division, makes sense. Here's where it gets like, there's 2. I find 2 in this group where I'm like, Atlanta, Boston.
Well,
I understand the Boston Braves and all that, but Atlanta and Boston. Yes or no?
You remember that one time where they played and that thing happened? No, that doesn't make sense.
No, it's not. That's just kind of I remember there was a time the Red Sox and the Braves were complaining about the whole. It was part of the schedule. It was the interleague rivals. The Braves go, we have to play the Red Sox every year.
It was a part, because it was when you only played one interleague series a year, so you got paired up with a natural rival.
Right. We're playing the Red Sox,
yep,
and the Padres are playing the Mariners. Not that they were complaining about the Padres during that era, but still, it's like we have to play the Red Sox.
Yeah, it's like let us play the Yankees every now and again.
Right. Or let us play at that time when the Orioles were terrible. Let us play the Orioles every once in a while. That one doesn't make sense, and the other one that doesn't make any sense at all is the Mariners Padres. But the whole like Eddie Vedder connection and like we've made it, I think, as Padres fans, and I'm not gonna say we because I had nothing to do with this, but the Padres fans and now the Padres and the Mariners have made it such a joke into a rivalry now that I think both fan bases have embraced it. And when you have to play the damn Mariners every single year, it's like eventually they just get annoying. So, but out of all of them, it doesn't. It's the one that makes the least amount of sense.
Like I said, this Vetter Cup, that's called working yourself into a shoot. That's called joking around so much that it becomes a real thing.
Nobody's going to be more fired up for the Vetter Cup than a former Mariner himself. Starting pitcher for the Padres on Friday, Stephen Kolek.
Go for it.
There you go. Do you think he's going to have the extra juice?
Oh.
Do you think the clubhouse is going to be like Vetter Cup on 3? 1, 2, 3, Vetter Cup. Get a little extra juice out of the boys this weekend. We got to win it for Eddie. Got to win it for Eddie.
See, this is where I would play something cheeky and funny, but YouTube would yell at us, and so would, what do we have? Amperwave would yell at us also.
Yeah, just getting yelled at. We got yelled at by StreamYard today.
Yeah, we got yelled at big time by StreamYard today.
StreamYard's yelling at us today. I don't know why. Anyway, that was the rivalry thing. I don't mind. I mean, it'd be better like Padres Angels. Last night I was a little hostile with some Angels fans.
I didn't notice that, but then again,
You're in the press box.
Yeah, I was sitting in the comfort and coziness of the press box.
Last night, like, I was not sitting down here. I got the story from my buddies. They were sitting in the left field and the outfield. And some Angels fan, dude, was just like talking mad S and telling people to go, you know what? To like an old lady that was a Padres fan.
He's
just like mouthing off.
He's on vacation. We all know that stuff you do during vacation doesn't count in real life. Come on.
Break. Do not have excuses for some Halos fan yelling at some poor old lady. And then my buddies immediately after the home run bomb, the Tatis walk up, just turned around, started screaming at him. But then, like, I was leaving like the ballpark, right? And then it was like, bleep the. I'm like, dude, why waste energy on the Angels? Why waste energy on the Angels? They know they suck. They don't need to be told. Their fans don't need to be told.
Oh, there was another fight in Gallagher Square?
Oh, wow. Evergreen.
Good on you.
833-288-0973. Let's get back to the Padres conversation. Neil in San Carlos here on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Neil?
Hey, Braden. Nice win last night. That was great to see that Tatis nuke. We needed that so bad. I wanted to touch on something you said right before the last segment about having to pick up guys like Hayward. And I'm not just going to bitch and moan. I'm going to identify a problem and give you a solution. I mean, I think it's absolutely time to let Hayward go. When AJ signed him, he signed like Hayward, Gurriel, and Connor Joe all within a week of each other for like $1 million a piece. I was shocked when he signed him because, you know, he's been like a 214 hitter the last 5 years, going down. And the whole precipice was, well, you know what? He's a vet, defense, leadership. Let's see what he's got. $1 million, not going to hurt us. Well, we're a quarter into the season. Gurriel's already gone. Joe's already gone. And Hayward is batting like 173. And people say, well, if we get rid of Hayward, who are we going to play? I mean, Brandon Lockridge, 47 at-bats, hitting 234. Tyler Wade, 56 at-bats, hitting 268. They're not long-term solutions, but they are better at this point than Hayward. Hayward, I mean, nice guy, but he doesn't belong on a major league roster. My barometer is always, if we cut this guy today, would anyone else pick him up tomorrow? And no, nobody's going to pick up Hayward. I also think we should call up Oscar Gonzalez when we cut Hayward, give him more than a cup of coffee, give him a couple weeks, see if he can get right. Oscar Gonzalez, Tyler Wade, Brandon Lockridge, I can live with that platoon until AJ finds somebody else for left field. And my solution for that is, I know the other day I said maybe we should think about trading Salas because this is our window right now, especially since we're losing Cease, King, Arise, Adam, and Suarez in the offseason. We got to push all those chips in. Brian Reynolds, great fit. AJ's coveted Brian Reynolds for years. He has 5 years left, $70 million, team-friendly kind of deal. His lifetime numbers are the exact same numbers that Profar hit last year for like $14 million a year. I could handle that for the next 5 years. I could swallow giving up Salas for something like that for the next 5 years. What are your thoughts?
Well, Neil, I don't think you really need to give up Salas for a guy like Brian Reynolds. Pirates don't even want to win anyway. What do the Pirates care? I don't think you really need to give up a Salas to get a Brian Reynolds. I think you could probably make that move happen. It's not a bad idea. I mean, the thing with Hayward, dude, it's just Father Time is caught up. I can't really defend like Hayward's at bats last night. It's not there anymore. And if you want to go with the youth movement, I don't think it's a bad idea. There's a lot of things that he brings to the table, behind the scenes, but you have to make the sense that, is what he is bringing to us more beneficial than a guy being able to go out there and perform on the field. And right now, with some of the fringe players that you have with the Padres, I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I would imagine, unless Hayward has a great rest of the week, he probably will not be with the organization after Memorial Day weekend. And if he is, it's probably not going to be much longer after that. But you see that with a lot of guys. I mean, David Peralta was ready to get, basically, I think, he was probably going to get cut. And then he hit a home run in Texas and continued to play well. But now he's not on a team. So we'll see. But those are the risks that you take with some of these $1 million signings. Sometimes you get Jurickson Profar. Sometimes you get Matt Carpenter. It's the risk. There's a reason why they were only getting that kind of money in the free agents portion anyway. The Brian Reynolds conversation is very interesting. Padres have been linked to him a couple of times. If I'm anybody under contract for a long period of time in Pittsburgh, I'm trying to get out as quickly as possible. If they don't want to win, they will not win. They will not bring back Paul Skeens. And it's going to be a disaster there. So maybe you can make something happen. And the Padres have made a lot of trades with the Pirates in the past. But you got to, he's got to hope that he can play up to the level of what his contract is. But it's very affordable.
I think it's something worth looking at. But I don't think he's going to move. I think he just signed that extension last year.
He did, but like at the same time, is he a part of their equation
Why would you extend him less than 12 months ago if he wasn't a part of something?
Why would you get all this money in money in revenue sharing and then not spend on anybody?
Because, money.
Because you're the Pirates. Reynolds is getting $12.2 million this year, $14.2, $15.2, $15.2, $15.2, $15.2, and then 2031, $20 million club option. He's 30 years old. You'd have him until he's 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Yeah, 36 with the club option. He'll be if you pick up that club option, it'll be 37. He's a UFA.
People keep bringing up Taylor Ward. He hasn't been hitting the ball well, but he hits a lot of balls over the fence. Getting $7.8 million right now in arbitration. He's ARB 3 eligible next year. He's 31 years old. Might be able to pull him from the Angels. Low average, but high power numbers. Interesting as well. We could talk more about the trades closer to trade deadline time. It's not even Memorial Day yet, but you got to start looking at it. I think Reynolds would probably waive a no-trade clause to the Padres, unless he just loves the city of Pittsburgh. But you never know. Maybe he likes being there. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Dan in Arizona, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, how you doing? I think you guys just kind of stole my thunder on the last call. I wanted to talk about Hayward. By the way, just as an aside, with this silly Better Cup, they played the Mariners 6 times. What if they split 3-3? What's the tiebreaker?
They have tiebreakers built in, Dan. It's like run differential and like 2 other things. Yeah,
That's the silliest thing I've ever heard of.
I'm actually hoping for that. I want to see the tiebreaker in effect. 2 out of 3. They got to worry about run differential, Dan. So you know what? They might be trying to run up the score in the games over the weekends. Hey, we got to send this guy. We got to try to get our run differential up.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about Haywood. I'm in a 31-year season ticket member, and I mean he has not done anything. I've just seen guys like him like years ago. Now they got a team. He had a chance the other day in Colorado. They were down on Sunday. I think they were down by 4 runs. The bases were loaded with 1 out, and he wraps into a double play. He's not making any kind of contact. What is David Peralta doing these days? Maybe we should bring him back.
Well, the fact that nobody else has picked up David Peralta, I think, tells you everything you know about David Peralta. I think you got the best out of him last year. I think you got the best out of Donovan Solano last year, and sometimes you got to move on to the next thing. I mean, you don't know. I mean, what David Peralta could be doing the exact same thing that Hayward's doing right now. So, I think it's easy to say like some of the guys that you used to have on the team potentially coming back and helping, but I don't know. Jason Hayward had a great career. Unless he turns things around very quickly, it's going to be tough for him to stay on this team. We'll continue with your phone calls when we come back. Johnny, Marcus, stay on hold. Sam and Del Mar, give us a call back. 11 o'clock hour on the Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. 11 o'clock hour on the Braden Surprenant Show. We got Brock Ungricht coming up at 11:30. USD baseball manager. Toreros tomorrow will try to win the West Coast Conference title for a team that started off the season 0-7 and has played elite competition the entire year, is a win away from potentially winning the West Coast Conference in baseball. If they win tomorrow, they would be able to do that. They would get a share of the title, but with the fact that they'd split with Gonzaga and they beat Gonzaga 2 out of 3, we know what it is. If USD wins 2 games over the weekend, they will win the title outright. And so a big weekend series this weekend at Pacific. I will be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday as the Toreros look to try to hoist another title under Brock Ungricht, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit at 11:30. We do want to continue our Padres conversations as well. Got a lot of great sound from the clubhouse yesterday after the win with Frank Marchese down there in the clubhouse. We want to continue your phone calls, and in this hour, we're going to try to talk a little bit about the bullpen, but we missed on some Fernando stuff that I want to get to as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Bill in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Bill?
Hello?
Hey, Bill, what's up?
I'm having too much fun. How about yourself?
I'm having a great time, Bill. What do you got for me today?
I got a question about yesterday's comments on the Cowboys.
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, the fact that somebody's saying they're the America's team is completely illogical.
That's what they're called, Bill.
Well,
I've always been America's team.
All right. Answer me this. What's the bloodiest war ever fought?
What are we talking about? What are we doing here? That would be the Civil War. At least in American soil.
And that's Americans killing Americans.
Correct. What are we going with this?
And what country in the world dropped not only 1 but 2 atomic?
All right, man. What are we doing here?
He draws the foul.
What are we doing here? Bro, are you good? Are you good? America's team. Okay. Are we talking? Is he going to drop like an army thing? What are we doing with? What was that?
Yeah, well,
So
better job of screening calls, probably.
What was? Come on, man. It's America's team. That's just what they call themselves. I didn't invent it. I didn't call them America's team. That's not the first time they've been called America's team. How about Zubat on Twitch? Classic Patriots fan. Come on, man.
They were called America's team because they were played nationally on the radio. That's why they were called America's team. It has nothing to do with exactly.
You get a foul for that?
Yeah, we gave it to him.
No, I said, do you get a foul for that?
Well, fair enough.
He draws the foul.
It's the first foul, and Frank Marchese's got 4 left.
Dummy being dumb.
The unfortunate thing, though, for you, well, not for you, but the unfortunate thing for Adam is if you foul out, then Adam's got to come in and run the board. Get another foul quick, dude. You're going to have to take a seat on the bench here in a second.
Well, this is my second foul after leaving the end of our bed up.
You didn't. They missed it though. You didn't throw it out there. They missed it. I can't believe the history lesson we just got there. That's insane. 833-288. Anybody else want to comment on America's team? Anybody? No? Arturo in Eastlake. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Arturo?
Braden, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. You got any history lessons for us today?
I don't think we wanted to go to that Twilight Zone where that guy was headed. I will say that I always hated that the Cowboys were America's team because I just didn't like the Cowboys. But other than that, that's what they're called. You're right. For some reason, they call them that, but I don't really care. Can we talk about the Padres?
Absolutely, Arturo. What do you got for me, man?
Well, about the Jason Hayward, I know that since Gurriel's gone, now you have to sort of like go towards, okay, who's a little bit less, or I guess who's the new Pinata? At least it's not Bogaerts anymore. I'm glad that that's happening.
Hey, just give it a couple of days, man. Just give it a couple of days.
Yeah, I know, but I think Jason Hayward still has a good swing. I think his exit velocity is still good. He's just maybe in a little bit of a slump. We need to give him a little bit more time, and I would go with him over Ornelas because Ornelas still needs some time down in the minors, I believe. And Hayward's got the experience where he might be able to work himself out of it now. How much time you give him, that's going to be up to our great manager and coaches. But I'm sure he's going to become the new Pinata if he keeps doing that.
Yeah, well, he's and Arturo, I appreciate the phone call, man, but his just metrics are just super low. He's 35 years old. You know, he's been on a rough patch for the last couple of years, and there's really nothing that he's been able to do in the last couple of years that would show you that he's ready to get out of the slump. You know, which is unfortunate. He had a great Major League Baseball career. Nothing to hang your head on. But right now, at his age, age 35, he's been playing baseball. He's been playing Major League Baseball since he was 20 years old. A 15-year career. But his swing speed's not high. His average exit velo is one of the lowest in Major League Baseball. It's probably decent for like a 35-year-old, but at the same time, it's not that great anymore. So I think they're going to be a little bit patient with him, just like they were with Yuli Gurriel, but it's not going to be much longer, I don't think. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Rex in Imperial Beach down in the IB. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Just want to comment on this, jump in on the thing about the Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan, first of all. But, you know, growing up in the 70s, you know, you had Tom Landry as the coach, Roger Staubach as the quarterback, and you had Tony Dorsett. I mean, it was kind of gave off a vibe, you know, and they were winning. So they did kind of carry this kind of all-American, you know, aura about them. You know, so I can kind of see where the America's team came into play. But at this point, for as long as they have been mediocre at best, you know, I feel like any Cowboys fan, when they hear the term America's team, you know, it's got to be kind of embarrassing. I mean, you know, this team is not America's team any longer. So why do they keep referring to it as that? That's all I had to say.
Rex, I appreciate the phone call. Did we turn into 105.3 the fan in Dallas? Are we?
No, we turned into ESPN.
Is this the Cowboys radio network? Wow. The Cowboys calls today, man. All about America's team. Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, Rex, I appreciate the phone call. I'd be a little embarrassed if I was a Cowboys fan of the America's team. I'm sure they cringe about it. I see people in the chat. What they would love to do to have Kevin and Chula Vista call in right now. You know why? Because he wouldn't call in about the Dallas Cowboys. Unreal. Johnny and Tirasana, you're the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Johnny?
Hey, what's up, Braden? What amazing victory for the Padres. Wow, what a game yesterday. Fernando Tatis off the hanging cutter from Kelly Jensen.
Yeah.
And let the fence went home. So I was working at 223 yesterday. So amazing. It was pump up and it's so amazing win, Braden.
Yeah, it's great, Johnny. I'm glad I was going to ask if you were working last night.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good stuff. Well, I'm glad the Padres were able to get a W yesterday. I'm glad you're able to see it. Thanks again, Johnny, for calling in. Johnny works for the Padres. Very nice. Love talking baseball with Johnny. Appreciate the phone call. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Brandon in Carlsbad. What's your take on America's team?
What's up, brother? Always great talking to you. You know, real quick, just watching you since you're with Coach John, man. I'm stoked for you, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. We're diehard, born and raised, sour San Diego sports fans. But on the flip side of that, not with our Padres. And for all you that were like checked out yesterday going, oh, gee, is the Angels our new Colorado Rockies? Fire faithful, baby. Never stop. Watch it all the way through. That's baseball. That is the talent that we have. This is the talent that we're also cultivating. Look at our farm system. Always hold that faith, hold that line. We can beat anybody at any given time, any day. I love it, dude. I can't say enough. You know, every time I call, man, I'm jazzed up. San Diego, let's get jazzed up about these Padres. Let's roll. God bless.
Brandon always fired up. He gives us some like smack off energy on those phone calls. It's great. That was awesome. Get your people going. Didn't answer my Cowboys question though. Go Aztecs on Twitch. Like, that's a foul for opening up with the Cowboys question to some of the phone callers. I know Marcus and Menifee won't open up with a Cowboys question. Marcus, what's going on, man?
Oh, absolutely not, Braden.
What do we got today, Marcus? What do we got? Padres win yesterday. Tatis walk-off, and there's a lot of positives you could bring to the table today.
I can, but I'm actually going to lean it more towards you guys this time. You know, I'll acknowledge, the home run, the walk-off, but honestly, I was after the home run was getting after the home run in the eighth, I was bummed. I threw down a little F-bomb there, but I thought to myself, okay, calm down. They got 6 outs to go, and then I thought, you know what? Yesterday's show, Braden and Frank, it was an awesome show. I laughed my tail off so hard. I would actually like to hear another show over a loss. But then they had 6 outs. And you know what? Walk off. I'll take it. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Marcus. Hang on a second. Is he saying our shows are only good after Padres losses? Come on, man.
That is a little.
Was that
kind of what it sounded like?
That sounded like, yeah. I don't think so.
Marcus is still here. Hold on. Let's get a rebuttal to that.
Yeah. What are we saying? Our show's not funny after wins?
No. I'm not saying it's not funny. It's the chat that's making it more funny.
What? There he is. There it is.
Yeah.
I like it.
I work for a package delivery company, Brown and Gold. Take it for what it is, So
Padres through
I
and through.
support those colors. So yeah, long days, dude. Any content is great content. I appreciate you guys.
Well, I appreciate you, Marcus. Yesterday's show's fun. The Cowboys flip. I can't believe how many. I think we have like 5 Padres phone calls and about 4 Cowboys calls today, all on whether or not they should be called America's team. That is hilarious. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll continue with some of your phone calls. We'll also talk more about Fernando Tatis Jr. when we come back. Mike Shildt talked about him. Frank got some good sound from Fernando yesterday after the game. We'll talk about that when we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. What is over, according to Blink 182, played by Frank, is the Cowboys talk for the day. Till the schedule comes out. Full schedule breakdown tomorrow. The Braden Surprenant Show.
Not while I'm around.
Week 1, Dallas Cowboys at the Eagles. What do we got? How do we think this game's going to go? Did you see our sister station in Philly? Their poll that they put out a couple of days ago. I know. For a guy like, from a New York fan, I would imagine you probably don't pay a lot of attention to WIP in Philadelphia.
The only guy from WIP I know and like is Jody Mack.
Jody Mack's on WIP? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does.
I know he does the national stuff.
Yeah, he does WIP, or at least he did when I was still there. But yeah, he did
Jody Mack.
WIP during the week, and then
Jody Mack.
He'd come down to New York for the weekend.
I remember working Padre games late on Saturdays, running the board. Like when I first started here, and Jody Mack would come on. Jody Mack. A little weekend action for you on Xfinity Sportsnet.
Saturday night get together.
Jody Mack. They used to have Pharrell on the bench on CBS.
Yes.
And he would come on late after games. The Padres would lose like 15-2 and just be sitting through a long post-game show. And then we'd take so many phone calls, dude. It'd be like an hour and 30-minute post-game show when I was running it, and it'd be like, Pharrell on the bench. Be like, what? Hey, people are listening to this voice for this. Pharrell's done such a great. He's had a great career. But imagine, do you remember what Pharrell used to do also in broadcasting?
No.
Play-by-play wise?
No.
He was oh my God. He was the radio play-by-play man.
Fun.
For the Atlanta Thrashers NHL team.
Oh boy.
Imagine.
Oh boy.
Get it, go to the corner. Go! He sounds like those guys from Men in Black.
Yes.
Were they aliens?
Yep.
The aliens? Or
yeah. No, I know exactly. Yep.
What's that? That's like Pharrell sounds like. But anyway, to go off the tangent of CBS Sports Network turned into Xfinity Sports Network. WIP in Philly.
Most rational people in the world.
You're gonna get us. This is a sister station. We approve. We respect all Odyssey stations.
That wasn't
here.
sarcasm. That wasn't sarcasm.
I'm not believing that. Anyway, WIP in Philly, they put out a poll. We love doing these polls ourselves, and they put out a poll after it was leaked that the Cowboys will play Philly Week 1 on the first game of the year. They went. Is Week 1 against the Cowboys must win for the Phillies? Yes or no? We'll discuss next. Must win? I'm sorry? Week 1, dude. Week 1. Gotta love the NFL. This is why you hate the NFL. This is why I love the NFL. Week 1. Philly must win. Is it a must win against the Cowboys on opening night? There's 16 more games, dude. 16 more games. If they lose the first one to the Cowboys, which is usually when the Cowboys are at their best, Week 1, and then it just all goes to crap. Philly not going to overcome the Week 1 loss to the Dallas Cowboys? Are you kidding me? I never have to. Here's the problem with Frank's reactions. You see him on YouTube, but the people driving around have no idea that Frank just melted in his chair.
Just in defeat. Almost
as bad as when Inter Milan gave up those 2 goals to Barcelona last week. Must win. That's this is the same Philly. It's fans in general. We get in our own little echo chamber here in San Diego, freaking everything. Philly the other day. I mentioned her on the roundtable. They were asking John Kruk if they could overcome 3 games in the standings. It was the last week of April. And Kruk's I don't know, man. I don't know if with 120-something games left, I don't know if they can overcome the 3 games that they trail the Mets by in the division. Bro, what?
Sushi Sam in the chat coming in hot with that's how Padre fans talk about weekday games in April against the Rays.
Can't defend it. I can't defend it. But yes. Must-win game week 1? No, dude, no. I guess if you're playing America's team, maybe it is a must-win. Let's talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. It's time to Dave Pash our Bill Walton segments that we've had the last couple of segments. Fernando Tatis Jr. is by far, and I say this every time he plays, the best athlete on the field. He's the best player on the field. And he went into a slump last week. Wasn't even really much of a slump. He was grinding through. He felt like, he was getting the bat taken out of his hand a little bit with some of the calls that he got on the road trip. Wasn't slugging as much as he wanted to. The home runs were down. I mean, he hadn't hit a home run like 60-something at bats before he hit one in Colorado and then hit 2 in the last 2 days. But think about the maturity that he has put together. Think about how he has grown as a player here in San Diego, where he's grinding through a slump right now, even before last night. And in that slump, Frank, do you know what he hit during the slump that he was grinding out where he seems like a little upset in the dugout?
280.
He's at 308. 308 in a slump, man. And here's the thing about Fernando. In previous years when he was a younger player and he let those things get to him, and not a lot, it wasn't for very long, but he'd go on a little bit of a rough patch, and he wouldn't be able to do anything. But now at age 26, with the maturity that he has put in with the growing and everything like that, he's taking walks during these slumps. He's finding ways to get on base. I thought Frank laid this out on our rundown perfectly. When you look at the last couple of innings, specifically the 8th inning, these are some things that don't get highlighted on Baseball Reference. They don't get highlighted on Fangraphs. They're not there on Baseball Savant. Big league at-bats last night in the 8th inning from Fernando, from Manny, from Xander. Your 3 highest paid players who did not have great at-bats in New York in a situation like this all put together big league at-bats in the 8th inning that's ultimately led to the comeback, the tie, and the win in the 9th. Working a walk as a leadoff guy, down 2, getting a guy on base is a major league at-bat. Manny, with 1 out, not swinging out of his shoes, not trying to do too much, taking the pitches, working a walk to continue to add pressure. Major league at-bat. Xander Bogaerts getting the run in with Manny being able to score on the mishap from the Angels and then still continuing the inning with a major league walk. Manny scored on an 0-2 pitch. Xander was down 0-2. Major league at-bat. Loads the bases, gives the next guy in line an opportunity. That's what good baseball players do. That's what good baseball teams do. And you're seeing that a lot out of Fernando Tatis Jr. Sure, we love the walk-off home run. His first career walk-off home run. But during this time where people thought, like yesterday with the image of him, legs crossed in the dugout, didn't look too happy about it, as he battles through what is considered a slump for Fernando. The guy still hit 308 during that slump, still found ways to contribute. That is why he is going to be up for an MVP at the end of the season. The growth from Fernando that you have seen, that we have all seen. We've seen this kid grow up in front of our eyes. That is why he's the MVP candidate of this team. That is why he's the best player on this team. That is why he's the best athlete on the field. And arguably, when he is right, is the best Major League Baseball player out there. And you're seeing it with the maturity of Fernando Tatis Jr. We will talk more about Fernando in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll get a little bit actually. Oh, yeah, because we got coming up next, we're going to have Brock Ungricht on to preview the series against Pacific. They need to win in order to win the West Coast Conference. After that, we'll get to the sports thread with Frank Marchese. Lunchtime hour. We'll talk about lunch, but we'll also hear from Fernando. We'll hear from Mike Shildt on Fernando and talk more about Fernando Tatis Jr. and why what he does is going to determine what the Padres' fate is at the end of the year. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, Brock Ungricht from the USD Toreros joins me on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Welcome back to the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talking a lot of Padres baseball with you today. And apparently a lot about the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know where that came about. This hour of 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by U.S. Wellness Meats. Overwhelmed by processed foods, U.S. Wellness Meats offers an all-natural alternative, 100% grass-fed beef, pork, poultry, wild-caught seafood, and more. Ship free from family farms. Get 20% off your first order at uswellnessmeats.com. Joining me now on the Braden Surprenant Show is the head coach of the University of San Diego's baseball program, who got off to a tough start with the competition that they scheduled, Brock himself scheduling said schedule, and now are in a position to potentially win the West Coast Conference regular season title this weekend as they get ready to host Pacific for a 3-game series at Fowler Park on the beautiful campus of the University of San Diego. Brock, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks for coming on. How's your Wednesday going?
What's up, San Diego? What's up, Braden? How you doing, man? Thank you for having me on. Great, beautiful Wednesday out here. Not a cloud in the sky, as you know.
Well, thanks for coming on again. Again, we got a big weekend series for the Toreros against Pacific as you guys try to win another West Coast Conference regular season championship. Coming off of a wild weekend in Santa Clara, dominant win on day one, tough loss on day two, and then a 25-9 performance in 7 innings on Sunday. Take us through what happened over the weekend in Santa Clara.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been one of those years. You know, I think the message to the team, like you said, when we were at 3-18 at one point, you know, and obviously 4 of our 5 non-conference weekends were against top 10, top 15 teams in the country, and we have a young team. You know, we're starting 3 freshmen in the lineup every day, a lot of new transfers in there as well, sophomore transfers, and when you have that, you know, you're going to go through. You're going to take your punches, if you will, and it's all about how you respond and your resilience and staying with our process. And our guys have just done an unbelievable job with that. And so the message every weekend is, hey, you're going to go into this thing and you're not going to be surprised by what you see. You've seen everything thus far. You're 6-24 at one point. We won 10 games in a row thereafter. And, you know, so nothing's going to spook you. And you know, we had a great win on Friday. And then Saturday we lose 10-1. And, you know, we've all been a part of teams sometimes momentum can just shift on you quick. And I give so much credit to our guys, our assistant coaches. It's like no flinch mentality. Okay, well, we lost 10-1. Wake up the next day, the sun's coming up, and we're going to pull up our bootstraps and go to work and play San Diego baseball. And that's just been kind of the method that these guys have had. And it's just been awesome to see as their coach and just super proud of them.
University of San Diego baseball head coach Brock Ungricht joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show, talking about his Toreros. They get ready for a 3-game series against Pacific starting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. It'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series for the Toreros before they get ready for the West Coast Conference tournament action next week in Las Vegas. Brock, you talk about San Diego baseball. Padres are kind of playing that level of baseball too. A lot of line drive hitting, gap-to-gap hitting, putting pressure on teams. You guys have done a good job of that in your time as the head coach at USD. I do want to ask, just in terms of philosophy, I know you guys have this, about how important it is for baseball teams to find different ways to win and not just rely on one aspect, whether it be the home run ball or base running or whatever, but being that multifunctional team, what it brings to a team like the Padres, but more specifically you guys from an offensive perspective.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's baseball, right? And people that really appreciate the game, I think, can appreciate a well-balanced offense, you know, and that starts in, obviously, at the pro level, you know, in when you sign free agents and, you know, the draft and the development process. And with us in the recruiting process, you got to build out a lineup that you have, you know, your table setters, your drive-in guys, if you will, and then you got to have guys at the bottom of the order that do such a great job of just turning the lineup over. And, you know, I was watching the Padre game last night, and it was awesome to see them safety in a run, safety bunt to score a run. And it's like, you know what, maybe the Major League game is turning around, and it's you appreciate it because you could sit there and wait as a coach all day long for the long ball, and 3 or 4 games will go by and you're kicking yourself because you're not getting a long ball. And hitting will come and go on you. We put up 25 runs on Sunday. That doesn't mean that's going to happen the next night. So you got to have some type of process in place with your guys that they can hang their hat on, that if you keep it simple, and it's about getting on base, it's about working the count, it's about having quality at bats day in and day out. If that could be their overall focus after instead of, hey, I'm going to hit homers, I'm going to hit doubles, I'm going to chase hits. Man, when you get in that mindset of trying to chase success and trying to chase results, you get distracted by what is the overall process? What can I control? That starts with getting a good pitch to hit. That starts with not trying to do too much at the plate. And if I can't get my job done, I'm going to pass it to the next guy in the lineup to get it done. And the same thing goes on the mound too, as well. You know, it's a total team effort, and baseball can be distracted by being an individual team sport. You know, so we pride ourselves on that a lot. It's a lot of time from day one on really instilling that in our program, and our guys in turn at the end have a lot of individual success because their focus is on the team side of it.
Yeah, we had a Tuesday night West Coast baseball game breakout last night at Petco Park, so that was kind of fun to watch with this little bit of small ball and see it like we usually do on Tuesday nights in college baseball. The other thing that a lot of teams are doing right now, you guys are doing the same thing, is batting the leadoff man, not necessarily the traditional speedy, get on base type of player, but batting your best player at the top of the order. You're doing it with Jack Gurevich. Why do you bat your best guy at the top? What does it do for you guys? But also talk to us a little bit about the player that Jack Gurevich is and what he's expected to do probably at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, Gurev's going to be a big league hitter. He's one of the best hitters that I've had, and you know, and been blessed to coach a lot of great hitters along the way in my career. But, you know, I think there's multiple things that go into it. You know, we just got Chase Mydroth from our program. He just got called up with the White Sox. And he was a guy that was similar to Jack, where you could hit him leadoff. And it's a little bit of a personality. You got to really know your players. You got to know how they tick. You got to let them be themselves within the boundaries of the program, you know? And Jack Gurevich has a personality that is a tone setter. So he's going to want to get as many at bats as possible. And the guy has 13 home runs on the year. He's got power to all fields. He's an on-base machine. And then if you look at the opposition, if you're a pitching coach, you're like, well, God, I got to face this guy 5, sometimes 6 times in a game. That's the last thing that they want to do. So it puts pressure on the opposition already, because he could hit a double to start the game. He's hit plenty of leadoff homers to start a game. And all of a sudden you go up 1-0, you know, it already puts the pressure on the opposition. And Jack's just he's a true torero through and through. This guy wants to win more than anything. He was crushed early on with how the season was going, and he took it upon himself that, okay, when we put him in the leadoff spot was kind of when we started getting on our run, and then allowed Austin Smith to do his thing in the middle of the order and the rest of the bunch. And then Connor Mydroth hits 9th, and it's kind of fun. It's a running joke with the team, but Connor Mydroth, his job is to make sure that he gets on base to turn the lineup over to Jack in that 9 hole. So he's just done a phenomenal job to get Gurv up with guys on base, and I think that's something that doesn't go unnoticed too.
Well, Brock, you know well that this is a live and local sports station, or live and local sports show. We pride ourselves on the local part of the show, being a longtime San Diegan that I am, and I know you guys have a lot of success with a lot of local San Diego kids. Highlight for us some of the San Diego kids that will be playing for you guys this weekend against Pacific, as you guys try to win a championship. As you know, we get some fans out there to help support you guys.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Isaiah Lane, you know, he's just done a heck of a job. He's from Eastlake High School, sophomore. You know, went to Oklahoma at a high school, and we lost him in the recruiting process, but exit with grace, and called right away and wanted to come home to San Diego. And he's just done a heck of a job for us at shortstop. I mean, just on both sides of the ball, defensively, 6'1", 185, just a great athletic body out there, and is able to play short, great arm, great range, and then just done it well with the bat this year. I mean, he's hitting about 320 right now with 6 home runs, and hits second for us in the lineup, and And it's just brought another energy type to our team and our program, and just an exciting player to watch, and and just been an unbelievable piece for us. So just very proud to have a local boy like that representing our ball club well.
Yeah, a lot of local guys part of this team. Brock, you guys have done a great job of kind of surviving the storm and now making a push. We really appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend, and good luck next week. A big week for you guys to try to make the NCAA tournament.
Yes, sir, Braden. I appreciate your time as always, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Brock Ungricht, head coach of the USD baseball program, getting ready for a 3-game series against Pacific. If one win this weekend will be a West Coast Conference regular season championship for the Toreros. Next week will be the determining factor if they make the NCAA tournament or not. Have to win the West Coast Conference tournament in Vegas and hopefully represent San Diego in the NCAA tournament, which would be a remarkable story for a team that started off the season 6-28 or whatever it was. So hopefully the Toreros can get the job done. Rep San Diego as they try to get in the tournament to make it to Omaha, which we'll see what happens next week. More going on in the sports world. Here's Frank Marchese with today's sports thread. We had poor Vaughn in the chat doesn't know what a windsock is. Might have to get back to that in the lunchtime hour. Talked about that yesterday. Any windsocks of the day today in the sports thread, Frank?
No, I would not say so. But first, we'll begin in our customary style.
Number 1.
The Dallas Mavericks are siding with the "don't look a gift horse in the mouth" as they have made it clear that they will not be looking to trade the number 1 pick. The Dallas Mavericks all but came out and said they intend to draft Duke's Cooper Flagg, first overall pick with this year's draft. The Mavericks shockingly won the NBA draft on Monday night with only a 1.8% chance of jumping the 10 spots they needed to take the top spot. Mavericks Governor Patrick Dumont acknowledges the team's fortune, calling it, quote, a gift to have the number 1 pick. While we can argue whether or not they deserve the pick, is it realistic to expect them to give it up because they don't deserve it?
Is it realistic to think that they should give up the number 1 pick because they had a 1.8% chance in getting said pick?
And everyone hates it.
No.
Exactly.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I agree 100%.
No, absolutely not. Now, if they wanted to trade it for Luka, that'd be hilarious. But I think it'd be catastrophically bad. 1.8% chance of winning the lottery. They won it. They could draft Cooper Flagg. It could be the new face of the Mavericks. And if you're Nico, you should probably do that to save your ass.
And he'll get traded to the Celtics for
exactly.
the ghost of Marcus Smart, maybe.
And then we'll have the Cooper Flagg versus Luka Doncic's finals every year.
Well, there you go. It's only an NBA dream.
Number 2.
Sticking with the NBA, Portland Trailblazers governor, the late Paul Allen, and his trust have maintained control of the team since Allen lost his bout with cancer in 2018. Yesterday, the Allen estate announced that the team is officially up for sale. The decision to sell comes in the wake of several different developments over the last calendar year, with the new $77 billion television rights deal the NBA signed with ESPN and NBC being one of the key factors. The Blazers were appraised by Sportico at $3.6 billion, which is a pretty nice bump from the $70 million Allen bought the team for in 1988. Nike founder and Portland native Phil Knight is rumored to be in the lead in the Blazers sweepstakes. Braden, any chance you have a spare $3.6 billion laying around?
If I did, I wouldn't be here. But no, probably not. That'd be nice for. Can we move them? This is a great opportunity.
That's something you can do if you're the owner of the team and had a spare $3.6 billion laying around.
Well, we do know that Kroenke's doing his thing over there. He's doing it for family members to own teams, not himself. Now it's a great opportunity, Kroenke family, to buy an organization and put him into a brand new arena that he wants to put in Southern California.
There you go.
Although I feel like San Diego Blazers would be a different thing.
You know what? I think so.
Not a lot of trails.
No. Well, you got a couple.
Move on.
Number 3.
It's funny. I just saw it in the chat. Lucky guy over there said TCU coverage next. Well, you're not all that far off. We spoke yesterday about Bill Belichick and the chances that he and North Carolina could split before the season opener against TCU. Belichick isn't acting like a coach that has any plans of going anywhere by the June 1st deadline.
Which we agree is the case.
Yes. Belichick has reportedly spoken and assured his players that his relationship with Jordan Hudson is strictly personal and has nothing to do with the football program. UNC athletic director said that there has never been any push to keep Hudson away from the athletic department or facilities. We saw this just play out with Shedeur Sanders when UNC we just saw this play out with Shedeur Sanders. When will UNC decide the media circus around Bill Belichick, which has been solely about non-football stuff, becomes too much to justify him being there?
They got to make it through a year first. They got to make because right now they're stuck because he's not going to opt out, and if you get rid of him at the June 1st date, which I don't know if they have any play in doing so, they have to replace him with somebody else.
Yeah.
And we talked about this yesterday. The whole interim thing is like his son. So, like, are you really eliminating the circus if you keep the son of the circus? Probably not. You got to start over. You got to do that.
The circus is Jordan Hudson.
I know.
That's the circus.
Well, the circus is Bill Belichick allowing Jordan Hudson to be the circus.
That is also
kind of what the circus is.
That is also fair.
Number 4.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
So anyway, yeah, I don't think they can't get rid of him until at least next year, in my opinion.
I would partly agree with that as well.
Hopefully they lose their first game.
Voluntary OTAs of the NFL have started, and one camp already has drama. Yay. The Cincinnati Bengals and defensive...
No surprise there.
The Cincinnati Bengals and defensive lineman Trey Hendrickson are in dispute over his contract, which Hendricks said has become, quote, personal. Hendrickson spoke for 25 minutes with the media. God, if we could only get somebody to speak to us for 25 minutes.
We'll take 8 minutes.
In which he expressed his frustration with the Bengals over the lack of communication over the situation and said that he will not play under his current contract. Hendrickson became just the 5th player in NFL history to have back-to-back 17-plus sack seasons last year and is set to make $15.8 million this year. Do you see Hendrickson playing week 1 for the Bengals?
I think they probably get it done. I think it's going to be a while, though, because the Bengals always do this, because the Bengals are a poorly run organization. One of those organizations that inherited the team from the guy that started it. It's their main source of income. It's not one of the ones that, like, they made it rich doing something else and they bought the team, right? So, and they've always been like that. I mean, the Bengals have been, with the Brown family, has been run just like the Chargers with the Spanos family. It's very similar. And every once in a while, they'll have some good teams, right? Because they have a good coach and, they get the good quarterback, but they can't get out of their own way more times than not. So I think this is going to be a circus like it always is in Cincinnati, especially with the Bengals. And I think eventually it gets done because it usually does, but it's going to be dragged out.
You know what the best part is?
What?
I don't care.
Number 5.
The season debut for Clayton Kershaw was imminent last week. This week, it has become scheduled, and unfortunately for one of the teams that are in San Diego right now, they drew the short straw. The Dodgers announced yesterday that Clayton Kershaw will make his season debut on Saturday at Dodger Stadium against the LA Angels. Kershaw's return from knee and toe surgeries comes at a very fortunate time for the Dodgers, with Snell, Glasnow, and now Roki Sasaki all out of the rotation with injuries. Braden, does Kershaw do anything of note this weekend?
I mean, does he win? Does he throw a no-hitter? I mean, just notes. I mean, I bet you
does he make it past 4 innings?
I think he goes 5 innings, 2 runs. One bomb.
Oh, there you go.
He's 37. I'm not like you said. Like draw the short stick. Did they really?
I had to make it sound appealing, Braden.
It's appealing anytime you mention the Dodgers. People get triggered. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We'll continue the Tatis conversation when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Segments from One Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Lunchtime hour on the Fan. Frank Marchese, Braden Surprenant here on the Braden Surprenant Show. We got a couple more hours left, and then coming up after us will be Gwen and Chris for the full breakdown of the NFL schedule. Specifically the Cowboys, I guess. Today we turned into 105 through the Fan in Dallas. We had 4 Cowboys calls today, all about America's team. Hilarious. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I saw this on Twitter during the break. So Clayton Kershaw, as Frank laid out during the sports thread, will be pitching this weekend against the Halos. Who will not be catching him will be Austin Barnes, the guy that's always been his catcher. Dodgers going to DFA Austin Barnes. Interesting. It's an interesting move right there. Not focused on them yet. We don't play them till June. Don't have to worry about it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Get back to your phone calls, but I do want to get to a lot of Fernando stuff because we haven't played the sound yet from Fernando last night, from Mike Shildt on Fernando. Again, he was the hero last night for the Padres over the Halos. I do want to mention, though, our big reveals at 12:15. Player A versus Player B. And if you need a refresher, there's the breakdown, the stat breakdown for you between Player A and Player B. Both Padres, both stats that you see on your screen are in a Padres uniform, and both of these players are being compared to based on their same ages. So they're both, it's their seasons from age 28 to age 31. Now's your last chance to pick Player A or Player B. Player A has better stats across the board with the exception of 2. That would be WAR, which was higher for Player B, and OPS Plus, which was higher for Player B. Player B also had 2 All-Stars. Player A won a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger and 1 All-Star. You be the judge. Anybody driving around, it's on our Twitter page. We talked about it yesterday. Player A, Player B. We'll give you the big reveal coming up in the next segment. But let's talk about Fernando for a second. Fernando, as mentioned before, during his little bit of a slump that he had, still hit 308, seemed a little bit disgruntled the last week or so, getting a lot of pitches not called his way in the box. Ended up getting his first ejection last Monday, 2 Mondays ago in New York. But the Mike Shildt getting ejected. And last night with the bat flip and the walk-off, I mean, that was a big moment, I think, for Fernando in continuing his success this season. And the MVP caliber player that he is and the MVP candidate that he is. Didn't get to some of the sound on him, but Mike Shildt yesterday talked a little bit about Fernando Tatis Jr., what he brings to the Padres.
Putting it all together, man. Special player. You know, what a privilege to be with him. Have him as a Padre. A lot of stars on display tonight. You know, he's finished it out. Other guys we'll get to, but yeah, Toddy's been, you know, MVP caliber. I mean, it's right there every night. You know, in simple terms, you think about when you get players on your team, like how do they beat the other team? And he literally beats you every way possible on a baseball field. He beats you with his physical ability on display tonight, his arm, obviously, his feet. But his baseball IQ is also completely off the charts. He's made some of the most intelligent, along with some of these other guys, baseball players you're going to see. So just a special talent.
Incredibly special talent. Beat you in multiple ways. Beat you across the board. Offense, defense, fielding, base running, everything about it. Fernando talked a little bit about some of the struggles he was going through last night, but what it was like to have his first major league walk-off home run.
Just energy all the way around. We have been battling some tough games, long road trip, but man, we're gonna figure it out, and this is a great group over here, and we're just gonna find a way how to bounce back. Doesn't matter how.
Talked about the offense picking up the bullpen. Here's Fernando talking about that exact same thing.
They have held us for more than a month. They haven't been lights out. It's baseball. It's a human game. It's one of the toughest games out there. And, man, they have been awesome. And we have their back no matter what. And like I said, good teams just going to find a way how to make it happen.
Fernando, again, I think some people saw it on social media with him being a little bit upset in the dugout 2 days ago. Legs crossed, just kind of sitting there. And in Kevin Acey's newsletter, he addressed some of these things. I think people were concerned. You can't assume things, too. It's going on in people's lives. You don't know what's going on in Fernando's life. You don't know, and people are saying this about this and this about that. I don't even want to say everything that people have said to try to prove anything, because you don't know. Unless you're hanging out with Fernando every day, you're part of his tight circle. You'll never know. But Kevin Acey asked Fernando about this. As laid out in his newsletter, that prodigious blast on a practically impossible line drive trajectory of 424 feet to straightaway center field had extended the Padres' lead on Monday night. Talking about the home run he hit on Monday. And yet there had been no stutter step before third base. There was something like a stop and start, but it wasn't his signature move. Tatis had this to say about it. Wasn't feeling it with the shrug before yesterday's game started. He didn't say much else in a brief afternoon conversation in the dugout, but he said enough then and had said enough in recent days to indicate he was frustrated with how things were going for him at the plate lately. Here's the thing about how things were going. Get in his newsletter. Tatis entered last night's game on a 6-game hitting streak in which he was batting .308 with a .357 on-base percentage. After last night's game, he expanded on his state of mind the day before. Quote, "This game is up and down. Some days you feel tired, you feel draggy. Some days you have stuff in your mind and you don't feel your best. We play this game every day, every single day. And we're not always 100%. It's very interesting comments, but at the same time, I mean, it's relatively understandable. It's the same thing with anybody else going to work every single day. I'm not making excuses. We understand they get paid the money they get paid to go out there and perform, and not every day that you get paid to do your job. And a lot of people out there get paid a lot of money to do very important jobs in society. Sometimes you don't have it that day. Sometimes you're not 100%. You're still giving your best effort that you have that you could potentially give, but it's not always going to be you at your top, you at your highest level. I go through that every once in a while here on the show. I mean, last week, a little bit of an illness. Trying to make it through. I was not 100% last week. Trying to keep it going. There's some days, and Monday was a mental health awareness day in Major League Baseball. Some days mentally it's like you're drained, man, and you're just trying to get through the day. Everybody understands that. And so I think sometimes we think these guys are robots. I think you go out there and every single day you're expecting to play at a high level, and you're going to get those sometimes. But, as Sandra said in the chat, sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And these guys are going through a lot of the same stuff we got to go through. It's just it's just a little bit different in terms of what their lifestyle is compared to ours. But a lot of people go through a lot of different things. So the fact that Tatis in the last couple of weeks hadn't really been feeling it and was hitting the way he was still hitting successfully the way he was hitting, if that is a slump for Fernando, I mean, you're talking about a player that is beyond locked in for 2025. Beyond locked in. And he's given it every single night. One of his best at-bats, I thought, last night wasn't even the walk-off home run. It was the walk to start the 8th inning. That might be his best at-bat of the whole night. That's a selfless at-bat. You're down 2. You're not going to tie the game on a solo shot. It's not swinging out of his shoes on everything he sees. Something that we had seen out of young Fernando that we're not seeing out of older, more mature Fernando. He gets on base. Unfortunately, Arias gets out. Machado works a walk, gets on base, doesn't do too much, passes the baton. Gavin Sheets, after Jackson Merrill struck out on 3 pitches, which wasn't his best at-bat. I mean, you got to have a better at-bat out of Jackson in that particular spot. But you know what? He's usually saved the day. So you can't really... One time he gets out in a three-pitch at-bat. Like, it is what it is. He's not perfect. Gavin Sheets gets the bloop shot, and you will start applying pressure, but it's that selfless at-bat from Fernando. And you see it from all these guys right now. He was in a little bit of a slump. He still hit over 300. Remarkable. But again, sometimes these guys are not only like physically not 100%, but sometimes they're not mentally 100%. And if Fernando not mentally 100% or not physically 100% and is still putting together the at-bats and the defense and everything he's putting together, Padres are in a really good spot. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I told you I've compared the two players. We give the big reveal of player A and player B when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Cannot wait for the reaction to this from a lot of you in the chat. Again, I'm not saying who really I'd rather pick. I mean, I kind of said, like, maybe I would go a little bit more with player A with all the numbers that are put, but I'm just putting in front of you two players that played in a Padre uniform from their age 28 to 31 season. Now, why ages 28 to 31? Well, player A did not play for the Padres until he turned 28. Player B played for the Padres at age 26, but if you're going to compare the two players, you got to compare them at the same ages. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. You can't compare a player at 26 to a player at 33. It's too much of a gap. It's different. Players that are younger. So these are the same type of players playing with the same ages only during Padres time. Because everybody that said that I've had this discussion with, you can only account, I only care about what they did in a Padres uniform. Well, that's what you got right here. So here's your number breakdown one more time. Player A and player B. As you see it in front of you on the YouTube chat, player A, higher in plate appearances, higher in games, more hits, more home runs, more RBIs, more stolen bases, higher batting average, on-base slug, and OPS. Player B has a higher WAR at a 13.3 and a higher OPS plus by 1 at a 109 compared to player A's 108. Everybody that is picked, get your picks in. Player A or player B. A lot of people have said A. Here's your big reveal. It is Eric Hosmer is player A, and Jake Cronenworth is player B. Again, I'm not saying that the Padres should have kept Eric Hosmer. I'm not saying that I don't like Jake Cronenworth. All we're saying is sometimes you get some preconceived notions about players, and the biases show. Eric Hosmer in a Padres uniform from ages 28 to 31 had a 9.1 WAR. Played in 826 games, 3,403 plate appearances, 850 hits, 111 home runs, 400 RBIs, 27 stolen bases, had a 275 average with a 435 slug, a 771 OPS. He has played better than Jake Cronenworth did during his age 28 to 31. Now, that being said, Jake Cronenworth's age 31 season hasn't finished yet. But that is the player breakdown. You put the faces on there and everybody starts freaking out, right? It was like, oh, I'd take 9. And what spurred this conversation was one of my friends said, I'd take 9 Jake Cronenworths before I take 1 Eric Hosmer. And I'm like, why? I mean, you act like what he did in a Padres uniform was just insane. 13.4 WAR to a 9.1 WAR. Jake Cronenworth's going to get a little extra WAR by playing defense at second base over a first baseman. But again, that was your comparison. I told you it had nothing to do with Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts in a Padres uniform hasn't been able to put up a ton of great numbers, but his first year he had a 4.4 WAR. But that's literally what I laid out. And people are freaking out going like, I can't believe, I'm not saying anything. Those are the numbers that you had. Right in front of you. But again, it's the age 28 season to the age 31 seasons. People are going like, well, Eric Hosmer played in the juiced ball era of 2019. Stop making excuses. They are what the players are what the players are. And that's basically what we laid out in this entire exercise. So people are feasting in the chat. They're freaking out. You want player A, you want player B. It doesn't really matter. The whole point of this exercise was to show that sometimes you have these preconceived notions about players without even giving them a fair shot. That's all I got to say about that. Johnny, I need a Don't Be a Windsock t-shirt. I didn't make some of those. I think Jake Cronenworth's a good player. I like Jake Cronenworth. I like him part of the team. I like the way the Padres roster is constructed. But again, everybody always freaks out about sometimes like players and who you can get and who you can't get. I mean, just look at the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. Yesterday, and I appreciated him participating, our guy SB in the chat, who's not there today because the Padres won today, so he's not in the chat today. I laid out for him, in a perfect world, what would you do if you were if you got control of the Padres? And he laid out in the chat, like, who he'd be the GM, how he would like construct the team, who would make a trade for. And then eventually he said, in a perfect world, I'd exchange the Padres roster for the Dodgers roster. Have you looked at the bottom 3 players in the Dodgers roster? Like the guys at the bottom of the barrel? I mean, they still employ guys like Kike Hernandez and Max Muncy and Austin Barnes until he gets DFA'd later today, if he hasn't gotten DFA'd already. Nobody's got a perfect roster. You're not going to have all-stars 1 through 9. So, that was the point of that exercise. People are freaking out about the whole Eric Hosmer thing. Not as much as I thought they would, but still, I still thought it was very interesting. A lot of people got very, very quickly that Jake Cronenworth was one of the players. But 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Sam and Del Mar. Sam, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Good afternoon. What's going on?
Nothing much.
I think everything regarding Hosmer and Cronenworth, I think it has to do with contract and expectations. Hosmer was given a lot of money. People expected more out of him, and that was that. But I kind of wanted to touch base on Tatis. And, you know, you and me have been kind of talking a little bit whenever I call in about Tatis's leg kick and his toe tap and the constant changing of that. Did you see his setup with the home run that he hit yesterday? Did you see how many moving pieces there were where he stopped, he started, foot down, bat forward, home run? So it's like, if he's still not 100% comfortable in the batter's box, you can see it, but it's not affecting him. And so, like you kind of alluded to, it's like, if this is what we're getting out of Tatis when he's kind of struggling a little bit, like, we're in for a good year.
Absolutely. I mean, he's still kind of tinkering in the box and moving things around. You know, I think Bogaerts tinkers in the box way too much. And I think it's a big reason why he hasn't been able to be very successful to the standards of what he was in Boston. I think a lot of that plays into it. And if you're tinkering the box, you're usually not in the right headspace when you're up there swinging. You know, again, usually I don't really know, you know, with some of these players, but with Fernando doing all that tinkering during at bats and still having success, I mean, it just shows you how good of a player he is, obviously in his prime. And when Victor Rodriguez fixes this, and when Fernando figures it out in a sense of being comfortable in the box and staying with the same mechanics, he's going to be on even more of a tear than he already is. Sam, I really appreciate the phone call. Let's get to Gary in UTC. Gary, what's going on, man?
Hey, just like your take on Fernando and also the approach in the 8th inning and the 9th inning, but especially the 8th when the game was tied on the small ball, the paying attention, the walk, and then the dash to home by Machado. That's classic. And yeah, Teddy, he's going to be fine. I was watching the game and I could sense it. I said, he's going to hit one out. I could almost feel it. But nothing to do, not really the Cowboys thing, but just to kind of give you a little perspective, Pat Summerall was talking about, he mentioned before at I think one of the games at the beginning of the 79 season about the Cowboys kind of being mentioned as America's team. And I thought that was kind of interesting at the time. And especially since before the game, Super Bowl 13, when they were going to play the Steelers, Hollywood Henderson says Terry Bradshaw couldn't spell cat if he had the C and the T. So, yeah, there was a lot of that stuff going on even then.
That's hilarious, Gary. I appreciate the phone call. Playing a little bit about the small ball. So much Cowboys talk today. Now it's a bit. Now it's just funny. And none of it has anything to do with the current team. It's just like the America's team deal. Boogie, did we go back in time? That's a good story. A good perspective. You got to hear from the veterans of sports talk radio every once in a while. The veteran fans. We're not going to say old. We're going to say the veteran fans. Jason and Encinitas here on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, Braden. In my case, you could say the old fan. But, you know, about the game last evening, I before Toddy walked it off, I would have assumed literally that 5 or 6 times he had probably hit a home run to walk it off. So I was really quite surprised that was his first time. But
yeah, isn't that
really
crazy? Isn't that crazy? First ever Major
really
League
is. I mean,
home
I'm
run
sure he's
walk-off.
Really surprising. But Colin talked about the bullpen, and I think, him walking it off yesterday probably shielded somewhat the calls today about the performance of the bullpen. And I guess my take on that is this, as an old-timer, that, first with Suarez. I mean, look, I was around the whole era of Trevor Hoffman, and Trevor delivered the goods 19 out of 20 times. And I saw Trevor, spit the bit more than on a number of occasions. So, first of all, everyone calm down about Robert Suarez. He stunk on Monday night. He was terrible, but I fully expect he'll be back on the beam. But more importantly, for 35 games, the bullpen was performing. I think it was like a 1.66 ERA. And now they've ballooned with their poor performances to something north of a 3. But I would expect them to revert to the mean somewhat, and I wouldn't, over 5 or 6 ball games, I'm not ready to panic yet. I think we should wait and see what the next 2 or 3 weeks hold. I mean, that's essentially the same bullpen, absent Tanner Scott from last year, and I would expect them to start performing a lot better, and I would expect at the end of the year they're probably one of the 5 or 6 elite bullpens in baseball. So, wanted to see your take on that.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. I 100%, and I appreciate the phone call, Jason. They're going to go through lumps. Estrada said that yesterday in the scrum last night. Mariano Rivera had rough outings. It is going to happen. It's a hard game. This is what the quote was from Estrada. It's a hard game. We're going to have days I'll face top hitters, and I throw those 2 exact pitches and get punchies, and then I face a team like this, and this happens. Everyone is going to have a night. Mariano Rivera had a night. We have dogs here. Things just don't go your way sometimes. It's baseball. I could be pissed about it, which I am, but we're facing big leaguers. We're facing guys who are making a living and are on the same level as me. Tip my cap. It happens. It does. As a fan, you don't want it to happen ever. But you have to understand, especially in a game like baseball, it's going to happen. Right now, the bullpen's on a rough stretch. Now, I think the more cause for concern would be, has the bullpen been overused to lead to this rough stretch? Now, that is a question that needs to be answered, because that's going to take even more time to get these guys rested up to get out of this potential problem. But you look at, and we'll dive into the bullpen a little bit later. And Jason mentioned it's 100% true. Fernando's home run yesterday kind of made people forget about the bullpen giving up another game last night. But, Adam in 3 games, down 2 runs. I mean, everybody in the bullpen has given up runs in their last 2 to 3 outings since May 6th. With the exception of Yuki Matsui, who at the beginning of the year was probably the guy that was not like the rest of the bullpen, in a sense that he was giving up runs and the bullpen was not. It goes back to that conversation we had last week in the Yankees series. You can't use your top 3 every single night. You're going to burn them out. I don't think they have burnout right now, but it's starting to trend in a direction where you should be a little bit concerned about the bullpen. Not a lot, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Parker in La Mesa in East County. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
What's up, Braden? How are you?
I'm doing well. Enjoying a beautiful day in America's finest city. Can't ask for much more.
Me too. It is freaking so beautiful out right now. First thing I want is a pizza shout. I don't know if it's already been discussed. I don't know if it's been mentioned, but a place near and dear to my heart is Pizza on Pearl out in La Jolla. It's not A-tier pizza. Right? It's not Brock's pizza. It's not the best of the best, but I mean, it's a good slice. I love it. I mean, we used to
gets the job done. I like that.
Games in La Jolla, especially in the postseason, and I mean, just walking down after either end to a good season or a short finish. I mean, it's always good to grab a slice there. So that's my pizza shout for the day.
Nice. I'm about to add it to my list.
Go for it. But I mean, I was super happy to hear Toddy got his, and just the team getting the walk off. I mean, I feel like that was one thing when we were discussing the team kind of not having a 3-run bomb yet or a grand slam even. I was kind of missing the walk offs. I feel like last year we were super spoiled. We were getting walk offs, once a month, twice a month almost. It felt like it was just fun. And then watching other teams do it, it's like, man, can't wait till we get ours. So I'm glad that we got ours kickstarted last night. I hope there's, many freaking more to come. But yeah, man, it was a, tough battle, good scratch out to take down the A's. And I mean, with, overuse on the bullpen, I mean, we can definitely probably see maybe some guys getting a little more use than maybe they would like, but they've been throwing lights out. And so I'm glad the offense was able to take care of business, pick them up. And I hope it kind of just keeps going back and forth as we go on through the year, but fun to watch.
Absolutely, Parker. Couldn't say it better myself. We got to take a quick break. Appreciate the phone call from Parker in La Mesa. When we come back, we'll dive into the bullpen conversation a little bit. And somebody asked me a question in the chat yesterday or a couple of days ago that I did not answer. And it might be part of our new 12 o'clock hour, lunchtime hour bite down that has been coined by Frank. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan. 12:39. We need a contestant for the midday sports standoff. If you give me a ring and you take me down in some sports trivia, you will have an opportunity to qualify for a chance to win our grand prize, a trip to see Bruno Mars in Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to his show at Dolby Live at Park MGM on September 3rd, a 2-night stay at Park MGM, and a $100 gift card. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Try to take me down in some sports trivia. I've been on a little bit of a heater since Frank took over as our producer here, which means I'm due to lose. We're trying to qualify people to go to Vegas here. I think we've had one guy qualify in this month.
Yeah, we have one guy qualify, which is exactly why we have gone back to the top 10 list, because you said yesterday that was not your wheelhouse.
No. But I'm trying to compete for him, the guy that won, because he took me down. Right now he's winning. He'd win the trip. It's 100% chance he's going to Vegas right now.
We're trying to stack the deck against Braden as much as we can right now.
That's fine. Stack the deck. You mean the guy that won?
Well, no, we got to get people to beat you. That's the thing.
That's true.
In order to stack the deck against the guy that won.
Right. I was asked the question the other day, and as Frank gets these calls to find us a contestant, I do want to get Frank's take on this as well. So I'll let him do that. But the question in the on the sports thread, in the YouTube chat, was about, it's always about food. Is it ever not about food? The most reactions that we get is usually about food. But one of the questions was the first thing, because I mentioned that, like, In-N-Out, was that yesterday? That was yesterday. The In-N-Out thing yesterday?
Yes, the In-N-Out was yesterday.
Yesterday, I mentioned that, like, I like In-N-Out, but it's not my go-to place. It's okay. It's not my favorite. But it seemed like in college, when you would come back home to San Diego, for everybody that left to go to college, I was one of those people. All my friends would come back and be like, I got to get In-N-Out, I got to get In-N-Out, I got to get In-N-Out. Yeah. Ridiculous. Got to get In-N-Out. And I was like, that's not who not the first thing on my mind. Never the first thing on my mind when I landed in San Diego for the first time after spending a long time not in San Diego. And so, I think McKee said in the YouTube chat, what was the first thing you ate when you came back to San Diego? When I would come back from college, when I'd come back from trips, when I come back from my trip to Italy, the first thing I'm going to get, and I always get, is Mexican food. It's not even close. Because now with In-N-Out kind of moving to different states, they got it in Texas, they got it in Vegas, now in Nevada, they got it in Arizona, they're opening up one in Franklin, Tennessee, they're going to have them in Tennessee. It's starting to grow a little bit. I could get it in other places. What I cannot get outside of just San Diego County, yes, In-N-Out's in Colorado too. What I cannot get outside of San Diego County, I'm just saying San Diego County. You go to Orange County, it's not even that great. I'm sure there's some good spots mixed out, but when it comes to taco shop Mexican food, there is no better place than San Diego, California. Hence, that is what I have to get when I land here all the time. And here's the deal. I am not locked into one taco shop. I appreciate them all. I think there are numerous spots in San Diego that are the best. I can name about 15 of them that I like. People might disagree. I'm not here to criticize taco shops. It's very rare do I find a taco shop I don't like. Now, there's some touristy places that I will not go to. Leave that for the tourist. Lead them to the tourist traps that you know you do not consume. And leave the hole-in-the-wall shops to us locals and know where they're at. It's probably the same in Philly with Philly cheesesteak places. I went to Gino's that one time. I didn't really go to Gino's. Gino's was catered to us, so that was probably not a good of eval. But Gino's catered to us. I was like, it's not very good. I'd rather have Gaglione Brothers. Now, I bet you there's some hole-in-the-wall cheesesteak places in Philly that probably blow the doors off the touristy traps because I know about it with Mexican food places here in San Diego. I think there's probably 2 or 3 in every part of San Diego County that are lights out. Now, where I live in Scripps Ranch, not a lot. Not a lot of great taco shops in Scripps Ranch. I have to usually venture to either Carmel Mountain Ranch, venture a little bit into Mira Mesa, surrounding areas. Because they're not open late. It's the downside being like a 30-year-old or like a younger person living in Scripps Ranch. That place shuts down at like 9 o'clock, dude. It's like families and stuff. I gotta venture outside of the ranch. Especially for Mexican food. But I saw somebody said jalapenos in Carmel Mountain. I love jalapenos. Yesenia's in Carmel Mountain. Great stuff. Sayulitas in Mira Mesa I've had multiple times. Their burritos are bigger than my face. El Patron in Mira Mesa. Solid. You go down you pick any part of town. I don't really care. I like them all. I'm not going to sit here and say, and this happens a lot. I think people like to say, my taco shop's better than your taco shop. I'm not one of those people. I am open to the best taco shops around. I do not discriminate against taco shops. I get called out for eating a bean and cheese. You know what? There's nothing wrong with a bean and cheese. That is not my go-to order. But sometimes the play call on the play sheet, the situation calls for a bean and cheese on 3rd and 14. Sometimes you got to go with the bean and cheese. More times than not, the money play, California burrito, carne asada burrito, great. You always got to get a side of the roll tacos, but you know what? You can't go with your moneymaker play every time. Sometimes you got to pick up a first down. And sometimes, I'm telling you, the bean and cheese moves the chains. Right here, move them. Move them. I don't discriminate against any Mexican food in general. I think I eat everything at the Mexican food restaurant. I don't really order quesadillas at taco shops, but a carne asada quesadilla plays. Rolled tacos with guac and cheese play. Crunchy taco. I like the mini tacos, the street tacos. Those are great. But every once in a while, shredded beef, crunchy taco plays. People like chili rellenos in the burritos. Play. I don't discriminate. That sounds amazing. Here's the one thing that I will draw a line in the sand on. There are 2 things. 2 things that I will not consume at a Mexican restaurant, at a taco shop. There's 2. 1, do not put Mexican rice in my burrito. No rice in the burrito ever. I will not eat it. And number 2, I don't know why people do this. I feel like you're either pro or so against pico de gallo, salsa fresca. I am out. Get that S out of my burrito. You want to know why? It's not against the salsa. I like all the hot sauces. I think it's great. It just tastes like tomatoes. It's just tomatoes. No, thank you. Get the tomatoes out of my California burrito. Get them out of the carne asada burrito. Do you want to dabble with some sour cream? Sure, go ahead. I'm not opposed. I like it. In fact, my favorite burrito is a carne asada burrito with guac, cheese, sour cream. That's all she wrote. Sounds good. I'm happy. Rolled tacos on the side. But like I said, that might be your best play in the playbook. But sometimes you got to keep the defense off their game. You got to show different looks. You got to be able to show a bean and cheese. You got to be able to show a shredded beef taco. You got to be able to show a quesadilla every once in a while. And if you want to get real crazy on a trick play, you go with the carne asada fries. You want to get out the gate hot on an opening drive, you go to your local taco shop and you just get carne asada fries with everything. Legit. You want to go flea flicker early, you go with the adobada on the fries. I'm done. That's it.
Just in time for the midday sports standoff.
I got to get Frank's take at 1 o'clock, but we got to get to the midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
It's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
A lot of people are asking me questions about the guac and the we'll get to those. We'll get to those, and I'll get Frank's take, not only on taco shops, on what he's got to get, though. You know, it'd be nice to read Frank's playbook. He's got a good play sheet over there.
I'm as simple as it gets, man. Don't hype this up because it's
you know
only going to be
Simplicity
disappointed.
is good sometimes. Simplicity is good.
You're only going to get disappointed.
Who's playing today?
Today is going to be Wyatt in San Diego. Wyatt, how you doing, bud?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Hungry.
Same here. Same here.
Lunchtime bite down. All right. So today's topic, again, we're getting out of Braden's wheelhouse. We're getting away from team names and colors and shapes, and we're going back to stats.
That's more fun, though.
Today it is strikeouts. Who has struck out the most in a Padre uniform? Top 10 hitters who have struck out the most in a Padre uniform. Wyatt, are you ready? You know the rules, yes?
Oh, my God.
Yep, I think I'm ready.
All righty. Wyatt, you got the first stop. You got the first choice here.
I'm going to go with Manny Machado.
Manny Machado is number 7. Braden.
This is the one instance where picking Tony Gwynn is foolish. You can pick Tony Gwynn for any offensive statistical category for the Padres and being in the top 10 list, with the exception of strikeouts. I'm going to go with Will Myers.
He has the most strikeouts in Padre history, 940. He is over 70 clear of number 2.
That's amazing.
Wyatt.
Let's see. Can we go with? Oh God, why am I blanking on this name? Okay. I'm throwing out Jed Jerko just because I'm blanking on other names right now.
Jed Jerko not there. Braden.
Let's go with Fernando.
Just does make the list at number 10. Wyatt.
All right, let's go Ken Caminetti.
Ken Caminetti is not on this list. Braden.
It's a hard list because you got to play for the Padres for a long time and then strike out a ton. I'm just going with guys that got a lot of at-bats in a Padres uniform. Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez, number 8. Wyatt, you are down 3-1 and 1 strike left to give.
It's the worst to be down in sports. Worst to be up in sports.
Go maybe Chase Headley.
Chase Headley is number 2. Braden.
Now we're just throwing out names of famous Padres. Nate Colbert had a lot of home runs. He had a lot of punch-outs too.
Number 3, Braden, you are 4 for 4 on this. Wyatt.
Let's go with Gary Templeton.
Templeton, number 5. So we only have 4, 6, and 9 left. Braden.
4,
6, and 9, yes.
Chicago White Sox manager Will Venable. He played for the Padres for a while. Sure, he struck out a handful of times.
Number 4, Wyatt.
I'm thinking of guys. Let's go with Phil Nevin.
Number 6. So
Where's
1,
he
2, 3, 4,
calling from?
5. Just number 9 left to go. Braden.
I feel like Hunter Renfroe has struck out an insane amount of times. Rough.
First strike, Wyatt. You need to get this.
Is this the tie?
Yes, it is. It is to tie.
I can't think of anyone who would have more than Fernando, so I'm just throwing out someone that I watched strike out looking too many times. Trent Grisham.
Good call. Can't get enough on at bats, probably.
No. There is strike number 3.
Speaking of strikeouts. Oh, poor Wyatt. Where was he calling from, by the
I'm
way?
striking out at this point.
What was the last one?
It would be Cito Gaston. He would be number 9.
Gaston. I'm sure our veteran sports callers can tell us about him.
5 more than Fernando, so he'll be number 10 on the list before the end of the season.
He might get passed eventually. How far is Xander Bogaerts on that list?
I do not know. It only shows top 10.
All right. Well, Frank, we're reading into Frank's playbook when we come back at 1:97 through the Fan. Lunchtime hour bite down at the noon hour. It's a good call there, Frank. Great call.
Well,
I have different things.
Don't expect another good idea out of me until next month, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, well.
I get one a month. Just like I get one good joke a month, I get one right answer per topic every month.
Well, you had the name of the topic. I guess we got to come up with different food things. The chat usually does a pretty good job of throwing it in
I'm
there.
relying on chat for that.
It's good stuff.
We do enough to give you guys an entertaining show. I think chat can chip in a little bit.
Johnny in the chat goes, the bean and cheese plays. Sometimes, I haven't done this. I mean, I guess you're just basically making it a breakfast burrito. Sometimes he adds eggs to the bean and cheese. Beans and eggs. That sounds gassy.
Well,
that doesn't sound like it's going to be great for like the people around you.
Well,
in a couple hours after the fact. Little red and green salsa. Always got to go with that. The hot sauce. You got to. Are you the dip or are you the. You're a mild guy though. Like, do you do sauce at all?
Every now and again. Yeah, if it's a mild enough sauce, yeah, I will.
Or
I'll usually pour it in.
Yeah,
I'm not a dip guy.
That's right. Yeah.
Because if you dip it, you get too much.
It's all over the place, and then
you get too much if you dip it.
Plus, you have to find like the right angle of the burrito, and stuff
exactly.
like that to dip it, or the right part. Then you got to take a bite, and then like a little edge bite part. It's no good. I struck fire on the pico thing. No pico. I agree. I can go into a Mexican food topic later on, but the question of the day for the food thing was first place you go to or type of place you go to when you land in San Diego. For me, it was Mexican food. When I'm in Texas, I got to get Whataburger because I can't get that out here. And then after Whataburger, because usually if I land in Texas, I'm landing at late at night, which means barbecue places aren't going to be open. So I got to get something to eat. Whataburger, because I can't go to a taco shop in Texas. Whataburger and barbecue. Tennessee's kind of barbecue-y too. There's some hot chicken places and stuff there, but like when I go to Nashville, at some point, I need to get peg leg porker.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
I have a friend in Tennessee. I have a friend who lives in Tennessee. He lives in Knoxville. He used to live in Nashville.
Oh, Knoxville.
That I'll ask him about that.
There's some good places in Knoxville too. He's not a college student at Tennessee. He actually lives in Knoxville.
Yes. Well, outside of Knoxville, like in the outer
Morgan Wallen area of Knoxville.
Sure.
Knoxville's an interesting town.
Tennessee football season ticket holder though.
They have like 300,000 people on their waiting list right now or something insane.
Yep, it is.
Because I was thinking about getting those when my brother was there, and it was just like, oh, well, I guess I got to wait 50 years. Neyland's cool though, but in Tennessee, we went to a steakhouse in Old City, which is awesome. It was ridiculously expensive, but it was like this Texas style steakhouse. Like the guy that made it, or it's like did culinary stuff in Fort Worth and stuff. It was pretty good though. It was like a cowboy kind of like flair. But again, when I'm in the peg leg porker place is good. They do dry rub on all their stuff. So with the ribs, it's not like super messy. And the other thing, I think it's funny about peg leg porker, they don't do brisket. And they got T-shirts that say, if you want brisket, go to Texas. They stick with the pegs or with the pig stuff, I guess, the pork. And the guy that started it actually has a peg leg. He's a big guy with a peg leg.
Makes sense.
And so he called this place Peg Leg Porker.
Makes
it's a pretty
sense.
good spot. There's a lot of good food in Nashville, though. It's a lot of good food, a lot of parts in the world. You have lived in Southern California and in New York. Any other places?
No, just here.
So
in
when you come to San Diego, when you used to come back to San Diego to visit, what was the first thing that you had to get?
There wasn't really much because I only came back here once when I was born in New York, moved here when I was 13, then moved back in 2019. And I came back like 4 months later, like 3-4 months later for my brother's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So there really wasn't much of anything that I was missing. when I did come back. But I will say, again, picky eater I am. It's one of the many flaws that I have that I will admit to.
Pour one out for Frank.
Yeah, I know.
Let's slowly build up the palate a little bit.
Yes, yeah, that's something that's midday bite down could do that. The lunch hour bite down could do that.
True.
Ponchos across the street from Southwestern College.
Okay.
Not too bad.
Little South Bay play?
Yeah, I'll give it that. Not too bad on that one.
Okay.
For New York, though, going back to New York, there was one place that I had to hit, and I hit many, many times. Pizzaiola in North Babylon on Deer Park Avenue.
Okay.
They have pizza, and it's an Italian restaurant also. All their stuff there is amazing.
Back to the pizza.
Yes.
You a pizza snob?
Oh, God, yes. Are you kidding me? I'm a New Yorker.
There used to be a place. We had a place in Fort Worth called Pizza Snob. It was one of those, like, it was kind of popular for a little bit when I was in college, like the make your own pizzas. You go down the thing and like, oh, I'll have some of that, some of that, some of that, whatever. And that was one of the places. But Pizza Snob was like, they had way too bougie toppings.
Oh,
and they had all these rules, right? Because it was Pizza Snob. Like, you could create your own pizza, but it has to be our way. And I was just like, I'd go a couple times, and I was like, okay, dude, like, I don't need I like artichokes. I don't need the art. It was like artichokes and like this tomato salad thing. Bro, just put the regular toppings on there.
Sounds kind of like Project Pie. We had one in like the East Lake area, which Project Pie, I'll give it to them. Kind of like that caller before, may not be the greatest, but it'll hit the right spots at the right time.
Sometimes it's the emotional connection.
Exactly.
It's the emotional connection.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm not upset that Project Pie is no longer where it was, but every now and again it was like, oh yeah, that's there. Yeah, why not? Let's go.
Dude, the people that dog Flippies, dude, I'm telling you right now, you got to order it the way you like it. Thin crust, light cheese, pepperoni on top, double cut. Like, they'll do all that for you. It will change your life. It will change your life at Filippi's. We talked about pizza already this week, so we didn't want to talk about pizza. But the question was, the first thing you do when you come back to San Diego or a place that you live that you have to get food, like, what's the food thing you have to get? So if here was Mexican food for Frank and I, and when I go to New York, dude, it's definitely pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not as particular. Like, to me, any slice, and I know it's not any slice. I mean, I'm not going to Sbarro or whatever. But, like, any type of, like, New York-style pizza is going to be a lot better than what it's the water. It's that water. That New York water. That bagel. All those bagels out there. Good stuff.
Sabrett hot dogs are another one. There are some places
Street
out
hot
here.
Dogs?
No, they're better than street hot dogs. Don't disrespect Sabrett hot dogs that way. There are some places that you can get them out here, but they don't have the casing around them, so you don't get that snap, that crunch. Hoffy's does a really good job of getting that snap. Hoffy's are really good.
There you go.
But Sabrett hot dogs, that's another thing that
you
I
like
will
a little bit of a
go
crunch in
crazy
a
for.
dog?
Yeah.
You like that outer skin?
Yes. That's
a little snap.
Yep.
Okay.
That snap is what you're looking for out of a hot dog. It makes you think you're eating something better than just random junk all thrown together.
So my buddy Nick, who's in the Navy, he's leaving for deployment on Monday, and he's going to the Middle East. And he goes, "This thing's hitting home right now. I'm missing. There's not a lot of Mexican food places where I'm going." But he said Board and Brew was his place to go. I like Board and Brew. Board and Brew is different now. Board and Brew is different now because when I was in high school, there was one. And it was over in Del Mar, the OG Board and Brew. And that's where, like, everybody from Torrey, Canyon Crest, and Cathedral would go on half days. Line be around the block in Del Mar. And everything about Board and Brew was the OG. That was like the same guy that was working there like all the time. And now with Board and Brew like all over the place, it's just that I feel like I could get it now a little bit more. Like they got one in Poway, there's one in Scripps. They got some in North County. They got one at Petco Park. It's all about the sauce.
I mean, for me, different tastes for different people. Like when I would get fast food, when I moved back here in 22, I was a fiend for Jack in the Box because we didn't have it out there. New York doesn't have Jack in the Box anymore. They used to.
I like Jack in the Box, man.
So I got that constantly because I didn't have it for 2 years. So that's,
you get the
different.
You get the tacos?
No.
Oh, dude. Jack in the Box. You got to get the two tacos for. It used to be 2 tacos for like 99 cents. Now it's
I
like
know,
whatever
but those
it is.
things
so good.
they look so much worse than Taco Bell tacos, though.
Oh, that's so good.
They look so
good.
disgusting.
I don't care what it is. It tastes delicious. If I'm going to be going to a place like that, whatever.
Hodad's I have not gotten yet. I think next
you
time
haven't been to Hodad's?
Oh no, I used to get Hodad's at the ballpark. I think next time I go to the ballpark, which probably tomorrow, not tomorrow, Friday.
That's the best deal at the ballpark.
I think I'm gonna run up there, grab Hodad's.
The best deal at the ballpark is like their chicken basket because it's like $12
That's
or
what
whatever
I
like
get.
that. Yeah, you get a
get.
bunch of. You get fries out stacked. The chicken basket for the Hodad's. To me, if you want the actual burger, you go to actual Hodad's. I like Rocky's the best for burgers. And again, we're digressing on we're hitting too many subjects. We're gonna run out of stuff on our midday.
So again,
deal.
To anyone who wants to submit a food related question to us for tomorrow's lunchtime hour bite down, send us
after we consume a bunch of roundtable pizza.
Yeah, send us a message at B_Serp show, and we'll start logging those together, and hopefully you guys give us a month's worth of content in about 5 minutes.
You got to start banking it, Frank. Got to start banking it. Yesterday we saw Dylan Cease pitch, and with Dylan Cease pitching, I think a lot of people were a little bit concerned with how he exited the game in New York. We will hear from Dylan Cease how we thought his outing went. We will hear from Mike Shildt on Dylan Cease and his confidence in Cease given the injury scare that he had last week in New York. Cease had 10 strikeouts last night, gave up a first batter home run and really locked in after that. We'll talk more about Dylan Cease and where he's at right now in the season as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station 97 through the Fan. This hour, 97 through the fans, brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey, parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt with Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Our Baseball Summer League is the perfect fit for your players starting June 16th through August 17th. Summer League includes 8 practices, 8 games. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. That's SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, joined by Frank Marchese, our producer extraordinaire. If you're watching on YouTube, we really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, give us a like. Hit the thumbs up button. Helps us out. We really appreciate it. The more you guys comment, the better it is for us as well. Keep up those recommendations on food. You're helping out a lot of people here in town that want to try something new. Talked about it in the noon hour. Talked about it a little bit in the 1 o'clock hour to start. If you haven't done so already, be sure to follow our accounts on social media. You can follow Frank at FMarks with a Z, 324. You can follow myself at B_SURP, at BSURP. You can also follow our show at BSURP Show on social media as well. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and on X, a.k.a. Twitter. My buddies get so mad at me that I call it X. I don't really call it X. I call it Twitter more times than not. I told them, I was like, I got to keep it going, dude. I got to say what they call themselves. Some Gen Zs might not know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Twitter. Anyway. I'm getting phone calls or text messages to my personal phone about food places and everything like that. Have you tried such and such? No, I keep adding it to the list. Got to consistently add it to the list. There it is.
Like I said, I just put it on our show Twitter that we were trying to get this lunchtime hour bite down segment rolling. So if you do have a food related question, reply to that tweet and we will backlog them and we will answer them on air at or around noon every single day.
Some people are putting some funny ones in the chat. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Dylan Cease, we got to pull our Dave Pash out from our fun Bill Walton side of the show. Dylan Cease left the game on last week against the Yankees. A little bit of a scare. Had a no-hitter going through most of it. And then ultimately, lost out on the game. We know how the game ended and everything like that. Bullpen gave it up. 2-run homer to Trent Grisham, but a little bit of cramping in the forearm. It concerned some people about Dylan Cease. Last night, went out and did a pretty good job. 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs, both earned, 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, and only allowed 1 walk. Mike Shildt, before the game yesterday, talked a little bit about Dylan Cease and his confidence in Cease given the injury scare.
The slider, back-to-back games of like the Dylan Cease slider, and Ruben were talking about during the game. Hard to say which one was better because he had a no-hitter, going pretty deep in the New York game. But man, the slider was really good tonight as well. And unfortunately, the 2-out walk, led to some damage in the 7th. But I thought Dylan was outstanding.
What did tonight do for any lingering concern after he exited his last start?
Say it again. I'm sorry, Dennis.
What did tonight's performance do for you, your confidence in Dylan after last week in New York?
Yeah, no, I mean it definitely. It was more the confidence or the concern rather leading up to the start. How he came out of last time out. And literally recovered immediately well, and the next day was good, and the bullpen was good, and the catch play was good, and so he's very in tune, like a lot of these athletes are with their bodies, and he was like, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine. So checked in on him, checked all his stuff, and everything was really sharp.
Good stuff out of Dylan Cease. It was Mike Shildt yesterday talking about Dylan Cease, and obviously when you get a little bit of a cramp in the forearm, you get a little bit concerned about not being able to move some of your fingers in your throwing arm. Want to make sure it's not elbow related. But Dylan Cease looked really good in his bounce back. How did Dylan Cease think he did in his outing?
It was solid. I gave us a chance to win. Wasn't would have liked to have been better in a couple of areas, but ultimately won, which is the name of the game.
Here's Dylan Cease on that forearm after injury scare in New York.
I felt pretty good. I wouldn't say I was my peak by any means, but I mean I felt pretty good, and I was able to throw 100 pitches without any issues. So definitely a lot of positives.
Did you come in thinking it wasn't an issue at all? Like you were past it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting there being any.
So you didn't feel anything?
No.
It was good to see Dylan Cease bounce back yesterday. A little concerning the first at-bat of the game, ball left the yard. You're like, oh, here we go. But I think Dylan Cease has done a pretty good job of bouncing back from kind of the start to the season that he has had. And a lot of the numbers that he has this year are skewed by that one start that was a start from hell in Sacramento against the Athletics. I mean, that was just like one of the not the greatest of starts for Dylan Cease. But you look at what he has done since then, he has greatly improved. There's been a lot of hit and miss. I mean, obviously, for a player that you would expect to be, kind of an ace-level player in a contract year, you want to expect a little bit better numbers. But he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his previous 6 outings. And before, at the beginning of the year, he gave up 3 earned runs and 1 earned run against Atlanta and Cleveland. And the big number that really skewed a lot has been that 4-inning, 9 earned run performance against the Athletics. His ERA was up to a 7.98 after that game. It's now down to a 4.60. Not necessarily the best, but it's still a lot better. And we've talked about Dylan Cease a couple of times in a sense of he's a streaky pitcher. There are going to be times where he is lights out, and there are going to be times where he's not. And we've seen that in a Padres uniform, and that's been his MO as a pitcher in Major League Baseball. But when the dude is on, man, he is almost unhittable. As you saw last year in Washington, where he threw the Padres' second no-hitter in Padres history. Since the start against Sacramento, Dylan Cease has pitched against the Cubs, the Astros, the Rays, the Pirates, the Yankees, and the Angels. So a mix of pretty much everybody. Good teams, bad teams, average teams. In those 6 starts, Dylan Cease has now gone 32 1/3 innings. The Padres have won 4 of those games, have gone 4-2 in his starts. He's only factored in one of the decisions that was against Tampa, in which he lost to the Rays 4-1. One of the 2 losses. The other one was in New York against the Yankees, and that's not really his fault. I mean, he almost threw a no-hitter in that game. And if it wasn't for the one mistake to Bellinger, he would have put up a 0. But in those 6 starts, as mentioned before, 32 1/3 innings pitched, 11 earned runs on 28 hits, 12 walks, 40 strikeouts. His ERA is at 3.06. Fielding independent pitching, 3.44. Batting average against down to 230. But during that time, it's been a lot better than what it was in his first 3 starts of the year, in which Dylan Cease had a 7.98 ERA and had given up 13 runs on 17 hits. Still had the high strikeout numbers with 18 strikeouts, but opponents hit 283 against Dylan with a 390 batting average on balls in play. So I think Cease is starting to trend in the right direction. I think he's avoided the scare. I know some people are worried about the way he's been touching his forearm after some starts, but I think he's going to be in a good spot for the Padres. Rotation has been solid. Bullpen all year has been solid, except for the last couple of weeks. And we'll see where we get to with the bullpen. When we come back, we'll talk about the bullpen a little bit more and feel whether or not it's a cause for concern. And we'll dive into the last game between the Padres and the Angels. Padres trying to win the series tonight, coming up at 6:40, pregame at 5:40. Gwen and Chris coming up next. We got one more segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1:34 on a Wednesday, leading you up to Padres baseball coming up at 6:40 as the Padres take on the Halos tonight for the final game of the 3-game series, a rubber match. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt will start at 5:40. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby will be on after me at about 2 o'clock as the Padres will try to win the rubber match and take 2 out of 3 from the Halos. They have been playing at a 2 out of 3 pace in the last couple of series after sweeping the Pirates, losing a series to the Yankees, and taking 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, which averages out to winning 2 out of 3. Padres trying to continue that streak against the Halos tonight. Tomorrow is an off day. We will have the Padres Roundtable presented by Roundtable Pizza for an hour. First hour of the show, 10 to 11 a.m. And then we will be on from 11 to 2. We got a special guest tomorrow, Frank.
That we do. Former Major League umpire Mike Winters will be on the show tomorrow.
Mike
at
Winters.
11:30.
Get a little bit of a perspective from the other side of things.
It's always nice to get that.
I hope there's a controversial call tonight just so we can break it down tomorrow. Some BS review. And it doesn't even have to impact the Padres. It could impact the Angels. I need some chaos out of the umpires tonight.
I think the last time we had Mike Winters on this station, I saw it before. Remember last year in Miami when Ha-Seong Kim hit that home run, not a double thing? We actually had him. He actually called into the postgame show.
That's right.
To explain it with Sam.
Yeah, the pad was down.
Yep.
It hit the side of the pad. So it's the fence, not the pad. I mean, the top of the pad technically was bent down. Does that mean the fence was bent down? I don't know. That's what they ruled on that with the Ha-Seong Kim home run, I guess. So we'll have Mike Winters on the show tomorrow. I'll start getting you ready for the Vetter Cup. Vetter Cup. I got to remember the rules, dude. I forget what they are. And because somebody was like, what happens if they tie? And I'm like, well,
don't worry about just win.
They got the rules in place. They got the rules in place. I'm pulling it up on MLB.com. I'm not overlooking the Angels. Just saying here. It's part of rivalry weekend. Which, by the way, we already had a little bit on this at the beginning of the season. Or beginning of the show. Season, show, whatever. Is it too early to do rivalry weekend? Or when these teams play each other again in August, is it going to be rivalry weekend again? Because in college football, rivalry week is usually like feast week. It's like the Thanksgiving week. I feel like you want to play your rivals late in the year. But I'm looking up the deal. So with 6 games on the schedule between the two clubs, there's their potential tiebreaker situation. First part of the tiebreaker is somewhat standard. The second part is unique. Run differential is the first part of the tiebreaker. The team with the greater run differential in the season series will win the tiebreaker. And the second, so if the Padres and the Mariners end up tying in both, they go to exit velocity because EV is short for Eddie Vedder. If the clubs share an even run differential in the season series, the team with the highest exit velocity recorded on a hit will win the Vedder Cup. Mariners and Padres have played almost annually since 1997, with the only 2017 season not featuring interleague games between the two. In the history of the informal version of the Vedder Cup, Seattle leads the all-time series 68-63. We need the trophy. Rivalry week. A lot of them make sense. The only ones that don't really make sense are the Padres and the Mariners, as well as the Braves and the Red Sox. The thing that is funny about the whole Eddie Vedder thing, right? Because he's went to Guido High School here in San Diego, spent a long time in Seattle. Isn't he a Cubs fan?
I don't know.
In 2016, he was a Cubs fan.
I don't know, man.
Throwing out the first pitch and everything like that.
It wasn't my week to watch Eddie Vedder this week, so I'm gonna have to.
Whose job was it? I didn't see the schedule.
I don't know.
Was it Scraby's turn?
Wasn't mine. I know that.
Because the thing is this week we've been this year with the Vedder Cup thing, all of us have to spend at least 1 week watching what's the latest with Eddie Vedder. I thought it was your week this week, Frank.
No, it was not.
Mine was last week.
Yeah, he's a known Chicago Cub fan.
Told you. I get it. I get it. I don't necessarily dislike it, but I get it.
So hold on here.
Okay. We get to talk about this tomorrow too.
The Padres
and Friday.
The Padres and Mariners are playing for ownership of a fandom of a guy who is known to not be a fan of either one of them.
Correct.
Why?
I thought he was a Cubs fan.
Make it the Emma Stone Cup or whatever. Like, what are we doing?
The Emma Stone Cup. What connection does Emma Stone have to Seattle?
What connection does Eddie Vedder have at this point in time?
I mean, it was like Padres social media and the fans were like, it's the Vedder Cup because it was just kind of a joke. They've embraced the joke. And for that, I applaud the Padres and the Mariners. I embrace the bit.
Like I said, you worked yourself into a shoot. Now you got to make this a real thing.
Now it's got to fit. I'm going to tell you right now. It's like Argo.
Make it the Windsock Cup. There it is.
Winner. Johnny's on it. The Windsock Cup. It's like that scene from Argo. If I'm going to make a fake movie, it's going to be a fake hit. If we're going to be playing a fake rival, we're going to win this damn thing. You ever seen that movie? If I'm making a fake film, it's going to be a fake hit. If I'm playing in a fake rivalry game, we're winning this thing. You know what? I guarantee you Jackson Merrill's going to be locked in this weekend.
That's fantastic. I love it.
He doesn't need he doesn't need the extra motivation, but now he's got it. Now he's got it. Adam, where were you the last 5 minutes, dude? We talked about that. If I'm going to make a fake movie, it's going to be a fake hit. That is my new phrase for the Vedder Cup.
You know what that is also? That's the title of this chapter on Odyssey.
If it's going to be a fake rivalry trophy, we're winning it. We could call it the Alan Arkin Cup, since he's the one that says it in the movie Argo. If I'm going to make a fake film, it's going to be a fake hit. We're making fun of it, Eric. We're not, it's funny. I get what they're doing. The Padres and the Mariners are trying to make it something because that's the rival that they have in place because not everybody's got like the close proximity in-state rival and there's not enough to go around. You got 3 teams in Southern California. Of course, the 2 LA teams are going to play each other. They've even tried to finagle it too. We talked about that a little bit with some of the teams in the same league or in this, right? Like 2 National League teams playing, like the Pirates and the Phillies. So this weekend is part of rivalry weekend. White Sox, Cubs, fair. Guardians, Reds, fair. Pirates, Phillies, makes sense. Nationals, Orioles. I think all of these have names too, if I'm not mistaken. Don't they all have names?
Not a clue. I do not know.
If you start Google searching like Cubs White Sox rivalry, they'll tell you what it is.
Yep, we're going for it now.
Let's go. White Sox Cubs. What's the name of that? Is that the Vedder Cup?
I got it tight, man. It's going to be the Pope Cup at this point.
It should. They fight over Pope supremacy. Whoever wins this weekend between the Cubs and the White Sox, is that who the Pope's going to root for from here on out?
The Crosstown Classic or the Windy City Showdown. That's the name of the Cubs White Sox series. Of course, the Mets and Yankees are
the Subway Series.
The Subway Series. Rays Marlins is the You Two Still Play Here series.
Wow, okay. Battle for Ohio, Guardians Reds. I mean, I'm just kind of looking some of these
up. The Lone Star series, do you take a guess to who that is?
Oh, it's definitely the Nationals and the Orioles.
Got it.
Yep, no. Rangers, Astros.
The Citrus series is the actual name for the Rays Marlins series.
That makes sense. I don't think the Phillies and the Pirates have a name.
What is it? Oh, the Nationals Orioles. I think
that's
the
Beltway series.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's something to do with I-95.
And then what's the isn't like the Cardinals and Royals like the I-70 series?
Phillies Pirates rivalry, according to Wikipedia, is Philly Pirates rivalry.
That's boring. Tigers Blue Jays rivalry.
Oh, here we go. Planet Wiki. Thank you so much. Maybe. Hold on.
Major League Baseball rivalries. Maybe we can just pull up that Wikipedia page.
No, this is just, it's just names of, okay. So, this is even better.
I think they should all have trophies like college football.
This is so much better. Hold on.
I-90 series for the Ohio teams. According to our local Ohio resident.
According to planetstar.fandom.com.
That seems like a legit source.
Yeah, which apparently every team has a series name for every opponent that they have.
Wow. Are these real or...
God, if they're not real, they better become real. Phillies, Padres, fighter jet series.
Are you kidding? Who came up with these?
Padres, Padres, Pirates, the frigate series. Padres, Rangers. These are all just the Padres, Red Sox, the massacre series.
What?
Padres, Rockies, the Taco Bell series. That's interesting.
Hang on a second.
Padres, Tigers, the Predator series.
Pause. The Padres Rockies is the Taco Bell series?
Well, it's the High Life series / Taco Bell series.
What is the connection on that exactly?
I don't care, honestly.
The Taco
These are
Bell,
amazing.
I don't believe this is, dude. You're like reading like AI stuff. No way. Out. I agree with John Silva.
You don't believe Padres White Sox being the snowball series is a real thing?
Somebody unplug his internet.
Come on, man.
It's like your opinion, man. A's and Giants, was that the Bay series or something?
It's
not really. They're kind of east of the Bay at this point. Padres Cowboys Win Sox series. There you go. And we've come full circle. That's coming full circle.
It's really brought it
We need
back.
to lock back in, says John Silva. I agree. Time to lock back in. Let's quickly get to the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs. Yes. What do we got tonight, Frank? Turn your mic on.
Missed the whole joke because I'm an
Do it
idiot.
again.
Basketball.
There you
Give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Woo!
What do we have last night in the NBA?
Pacers, Cavs. Pacers
Cavs.
shut down that series. Series over now with a 114-105 victory. Pacers going to their second consecutive Eastern Conference Final. Oklahoma City Thunder take their first lead of the series against the Denver Nuggets, winning 112-105 last night.
Is it now over for the Nuggets?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Probably. Tonight, the New York Knicks have a shot at closing out the Boston Celtics, who I'm sure are going to be reeling after Jason Tatum's injury. 4 p.m. on TNT. Golden State versus Minnesota. Right after that, the T-Wolves have a chance to close out as well tonight.
Is this the last game without Steph? Are they expecting Steph to come back after tonight?
They are not expecting Steph to be there tonight. As far as after that, I haven't heard or seen anything. It might be on the
Sports Center tomorrow?
Yeah, it might be on the Sports Center tomorrow.
I got the T-Wolves and I got the Knicks tonight. I think the Knicks finished it out. I think Oklahoma City is now past Denver. They're up 3-2 in the series. I don't think Denver comes back. You're looking at Indiana and New York, Minnesota, and Oklahoma City, I think, in the conference championship games. Let's get to the ice.
One game last night, and this is because Dallas and Winnipeg went to a game 7 and backed everything up a little bit. So they got their one game. So now it's going to be 2-2 again, the pairs. Dallas Stars defeating the Winnipeg Jets 3-1 was the score in the game, and now that is the tally in the series. The Dallas Stars currently lead that series. Tonight, back in Toronto, you've got the Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. 2-2 series tie, once again starting at 4 p.m., this time on ESPN. Edmonton Oilers with a chance to close out the Vegas Golden Knights, 3-1. Edmonton leading that series.
Well, since we're apparently a Dallas sports show now.
Yep.
Are we rooting for the Stars?
Somebody heard Dallas. Frankie Watkins heard Dallas.
Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars. Can't wait for the Stars phone calls tomorrow. Did we get our number confused? When you search 97 through the fan,
we must
they pull
have
up
done.
105.3 the fan, our sister station, our Odyssey station in Dallas.
Must have done.
That was a crazy day on the phone calls for sure.
Certainly was. Also, going back to the NBA news, no specific role announced. He's going to be a special advisor, at least at the moment. Michael Jordan will be a part of the NBA on NBC crew next year. So that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to that.
Also, just down the road from us.
But wait, there's more.
Yes, there is. There is a lot more. Just down the road from us, San Diego FC.
Tonight.
A midweek clash with the Colorado Rapids. San Diego FC, where are all of my notes on that? There they are. Currently 6-2-4. Rapids are 4-4-4. That game will kick off 7:30 p.m. on Apple TV Plus. It's not enough to have Apple TV Plus. You also need to have the MLS League Pass as well. Colorado has not won since beating San Diego FC on April 12th. That was a 3-2 win. Anders Dreyer leading in goals and assists for San Diego FC, 5 apiece.
Hopefully, San Diego FC can build off of their 2 wins in a row. Already starting from the FC Dallas win when they won 5-0 here.
In the, by the way, San Diego FC versus Colorado, classically known as the Footy McFootface series.
Oh, is that what it's called?
As Johnny in the chat reminds us.
My mistake. Should have had that dialed in. I would have been more excited. Welcome back, Cattell Marte. Couple of pumps today. Arizona dismantling the Giants in the 4th inning. It's 8-2.
Unfortunately,
kept telling everybody. Keep telling them. Keep saying it. Got to worry about the Diamondbacks, man.
And unfortunately, Seattle not dismantling the Yankees in the 3rd inning.
They're scoreless, though. So that was a sick robbery. How is Trent Grisham doing what he's doing right now? How is he doing what he's doing right now? Truly remarkable.
There are ways.
Well, yeah.
Short porches help.
You mean the bandbox they play in?
Little League field, but yeah, basically, more or less.
Not a major league field like Citi Field.
Exactly.
That's, you know what? You're so right.
I know I am.
Frank, how does the bullpen bounce back tonight for the Padres?
I think it does. I think it has a solid night. Honestly, I said it. I texted it to you last night. There are only so many times that you can run Morihone or Estrada, the combination of the two, Adam and Suarez out there before they start to show signs of, hey, you're running us out here every single day. Our arms are getting a little bit tired, even though we're not going to tell you. There's only so many bullets they have each year, and you're using most of them up here in April and May.
I think that I think they're going to be near. I think they're near the end of this kind of spurt. I agree with you. And again, we mentioned it last week. You can't be rolling these guys out here every single day. They're going to have bad days as well. Strada mentioned that yesterday. I think they got to get a good bounce back, get a day off tomorrow. They got to be dialed in for June. I mean, June is a lot. And here's the thing. We talked about the 6-man rotation. When talking with people at Petco Park, the prediction is they will go to a 6-man rotation. But they do not think it will be for the entire month of June. They think it will only be for a small portion of the stretch. Maybe just one time through. Maybe 2 max. Need to help the bullpen out, too. You want to take an arm out of the bullpen to have a 6-man rotation.
Where's Sean Reynolds?
He's on the team. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. We will talk to you guys tomorrow after the roundtable. Gwynn and Chris coming up next. Standing number 1 Sports Station 97 The Fan.